Chapter 598. In a jungle on the battlefield of the strange battle. A group of ferocious wild boars surrounded Sun Hao and attacked frantically. In Sun Hao's eyes, a series of misses kept showing. Obviously, these ferocious wild boars failed to cause any harm to Sun Hao. Puff! Sun Hao waved his dagger, and every time he waved, the wild boars around him fell down one by one. Ding, experience plus 20 ding, experience plus 20. A series of system prompts kept ringing. At this moment, Sun Hao was like playing a game, relaxed and extremely leisurely. The outside world. The two players stared at the screen and couldn't help but widen their eyes. The color of worship was written all over the faces of the two. Big brother, it's really awesome. He can easily kill a level 10 wild boar at level 1. This strength is too strong. Indeed, Big Brother is really powerful. He must have been a ruthless person in the real world before. If we record the video of Big Brother's performance and post it on the internet, it will definitely be popular on the internet. Come on, did you see this cup? The two saw the cup that turned into powder, and they were terrified. To be able to shatter 2 cups in the outside world in the game, this strength was terrifying. If it was their hearts that were shattered, wouldn't they be dead? Thinking of this, fine beads of sweat overflowed on their foreheads, and they secretly wiped their cold sweat. We must not tell anyone about Big Brother. The two secretly made a decision. Sun Hao didn't know what the two were thinking. At this moment, he was concentrating on killing monsters, and his level was rising rapidly. After a while, the wild boars in front of Sun Hao were killed. His level was successfully raised to level 10. Although my level has increased, my strength has not increased much. My current strength should still be at the 5th stage of the Saint Realm. I wonder if I can open the soul space now? Thinking like this, Sun Hao's mind moved. Suddenly, his mind came to the soul space. Looking up, he couldn't help but widen his eyes. He saw that the soul space was filled with endless power of faith, which almost occupied a small half of the universe space. How long has it been? This power of faith has increased dozens of times. I'm afraid I won't be able to reach the 9th stage of the Saint Realm. My physical body can be further improved. Sun Hao's face showed a look of ecstasy. He didn't need to cultivate at all. He only needed to improve his strength through the power of faith. This was much easier than ordinary people working themselves to death to cultivate. Sun Hao's mind returned to his body, sat cross-legged on the ground, and cultivated directly. Few streams of faith power rushed out of his soul space and crazily circulated in his meridians. His physical body was rapidly strengthening. Gotcha! In the blink of an eye, the barrier of the realm cracked open. Sun Hao's realm reached the 6th level of the Saint Realm. Of course, it didn't stop. It was as if it had just begun. The corners of Sun Hao's mouth rose, feeling his body being washed by the power of faith, and he almost cried out in comfort. Time passed bit by bit. Soon, several hours had passed. Sun Hao opened his eyes, and his face showed a touch of joy. At this moment, he had reached the 9th level of the Saint Realm. His physical body had reached an unimaginably terrifying level. In the end, Sun Hao could not confirm how strong it was. However, one thing was certain. With his current physical strength, it would not be a problem for him to kill the white giant with a single slap. Not only that, but apart from his physical body and cultivation level, his divine sense and mental state had also improved significantly. After a while, Sun Hao withdrew his joy, and his face gradually became dignified. Although my strength has improved so much, I'm afraid I'm still not the opponent of the behind-the-scenes manipulator. I can't expose myself for the time being before obtaining my inheritance. Sun Hao thought secretly, withdrawing the impulse to release his divine sense. Then, he took a step forward. Buzz, with a flash of light, he disappeared in place instantly. The outside world. The two people staring at Sun Hao's screen directly stood in place. The two were surprised to find that Sun Hao disappeared in the screen, and they didn't know where he went. Moving the map frantically, they couldn't find Sun Hao. Is this teleportation? It's terrifying. I feel that power is real. Yes, presumably with Big Brother's strength, it's not a problem to destroy the Earth easily. That goes without saying. Fear was written all over their faces. In a forest in the alien battlefield, a little lowly stood in place, her eyes glazed. Suddenly, she moved. She walked forward. However, she only took a few steps and stopped. Then, she took a few steps back. Soon, she walked forward again, and then took a few steps back again. After a few times, she still stood in place, not leaving half a meter away. When the player who controlled her saw this scene, he threw the game handle away fiercely, showing an angry look. What kind of broken game is this? This character doesn't listen to the command at all. It's not fun at all. After speaking, the player left his seat and walked out of the room. What the player didn't know was that after he left, the character in the game began to move. His lifeless eyes suddenly regained consciousness. What kind of power is this? It can control my body. The little lowly muttered to herself, her face showing a touch of fear. She clenched her fists, the veins on her body bulged, and her whole person roared again and again, but she couldn't get rid of that control. She took a few steps forward with her legs that were as heavy as a can of lead. However, after taking a few steps, her body was bounced back by an inexplicable force, and she returned to her original place again. Within a radius of 1 meter, it was like a circle of imprisonment, making her unable to leave. Tap tap, suddenly footsteps sounded behind her. The little lowly looked back, and her face changed slightly. She saw that a 2-meter-tall humanoid monster with a pair of fangs a few centimeters long stood there. At this moment, the humanoid monster was looking at her with a look of surprise. In the mouth of the humanoid monster, saliva kept dripping down. Hiss, falling to the ground, it directly burned a hole in the ground. Deity? I found a deity here. The humanoid monster spoke in human language. The rough voice vibrated out, resounding throughout the world. After this sound, tap tap, a series of hurried footsteps sounded. Soon, dozens of humanoid monsters surrounded the little lowly. There was a look of greed on everyone's face. That look was like an extremely hungry person who encountered a table of peerless delicacies. Their eyes were shining with undying light. It's really a deity, only level 1, seems to have just been born. Looks soft and tender, it must be delicious. This time, I want to steam this deity. What's so good about steaming? Braising is better. I think it's still best to fry it. It's crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. The taste is definitely delicious. A group of humanoid monsters surrounded the little lowly and discussed. Chapter 599. Little lowly looked at these humanoid monsters, and in her eyes a trace of panic flashed. She struggled frantically, and in her eyes 2 lines of tears came out. Boss, let me do it. They are all rough hands. It's not good to hurt such a delicate and tender god. A relatively thin humanoid monster stood up. Okay. The leader of the humanoid monsters nodded slightly. Jia. The thin humanoid monster grinned and walked towards little lowly step by step. Little doll, don't worry, you are the most delicious food. I won't hurt you. After speaking, the thin monster took out a harpoon and stabbed it at little lowly's chest. That speed was so fast that people couldn't react. Little lowly let out a scream. Ding, a metal collision sounded. Little lowly looked up, showing a surprised expression. In front of her, she didn't know when, there was a body standing. He was dressed in white, and his temperament was extraordinary. Each and every one of his movements was extremely natural, making him look extremely comfortable. For a moment, little lowly froze in place and couldn't help but exclaim, "Young master." This little lowly was none other than Xiao Fong. Xiao Fong smiled bitterly and sighed softly. How could young master be here? It seems that I miss young master too much. Xiao Fang sighed secretly, her eyes sweeping on Sun Hao. Only to see. Sun Hao stretched out 2 fingers and gently clamped them on the harpoon. No matter how hard the humanoid monster tried, it couldn't break free. Level 10 god? Boss, another god came. This is interesting. So strong, there must be a lot of meat. When you eat it, it must be chewy and full of fragrance. A group of humanoid monsters looked at Sun Hao, and there was no concealment of greed. The leader of the humanoid monsters looked at Sun Hao, the corner of his mouth raised, and the complacency flashed away. Let go. In front of Sun Hao, the humanoid monster struggled frantically. Hee. Sun Hao grinned, stepped out, and instantly stood in front of the humanoid monster. Then, he stretched out his finger, aimed at the humanoid monster's eyebrows, and blasted it. No, an unwilling shout came to an abrupt end. Boom, with an explosion, the humanoid monster's head exploded directly. Green juice sprayed all over the ground. The humanoid monster fell to the ground, twitched a few times, and then stopped moving. Such a scene directly scared the other humanoid monsters in place. They looked at Sun Hao, their faces full of fear. This god is not simple. Everyone, don't just stand there, let's attack together. The leader of the humanoid monsters roared and charged forward with the rest of the humanoid monsters. Each of the monsters used their ultimate moves. Phew, all kinds of skills flew up and flew towards Sun Hao. Boom, the explosions continued. Various skill lights burst on Sun Hao's body. For a while, it wrapped Sun Hao and disappeared. Ha! The group of humanoid monsters threw their heads back and laughed maniacally. They looked like a victorious army that couldn't be described with words. Young master, Xiao Fang's heart ached, and tears welled up in her eyes. She looked at Sun Hao, who was shrouded by skills, and felt distressed. She struggled frantically and stepped forward. However, she could only take 1 step at most before returning to her original spot. She was unable to walk out of that circle. This kid, won't he be burned to slag? No way, it's a pity that such a strong god was burned like this. Such a fragrant meat is gone just like that. Waves of ringing sounds rang out. The group of humanoid monsters sighed again and again, quietly waiting for the flames on Sun Hao's body to disappear. Phew, all the skill lights disappeared. Sun Hao's figure appeared in front of the group of humanoid monsters. He stood there calmly, without any scars on his body. Even his clothes didn't leave a trace. Such a scene directly scared all the humanoid monsters in place. They stared at Sun Hao blankly, showing a look of disbelief. This is impossible. How can a level 10 god not be hurt at all? This must be a dream. This must be fake. This must be an illusion. The group of humanoid monsters kept shaking their heads, unwilling to believe the scene in front of them. Not good. The leader's scalp exploded, and a fatal crisis enveloped his heart. Without any hesitation, the leader took a step and ran away quickly. Bang! The loud trampling sound awakened the other humanoid monsters. One by one, they took a step and ran away quickly. The corner of Sun Hao's mouth raised, and his face showed a cold, killing intent. He dared to attack his own people and wanted to eat her. How could he run away? Sun Hao stretched out his finger unhurriedly and pointed forward. Buzz! There was a shock. The surrounding space, like a cage, wrapped all the humanoid monsters. No mercy! Shouts and despair filled the entire space. Everyone's body flew out uncontrollably and fell in front of Sun Hao. They all knelt in front of Sun Hao, begging for mercy and saluting. However, Sun Hao smiled coldly, stretched out his hand unhurriedly, and pointed forward. Boom! The sound of explosions kept ringing. The bodies of the group of humanoid monsters kept breaking apart. Green blood sprinkled down like a blood rain. It dyed the whole earth green. Phew! Sun Hao waved his right hand, and a flame flew out from his fingertips, whistling across the ground. Soon, all the blood stains and minced meat were burned into nothingness, disappearing completely. the whole earth, as if nothing had ever appeared. Xiao Fang looked at Sun Hao with an excited expression. When Sun Hao turned around and looked back, she took a step and rushed towards Sun Hao frantically. However, she had just taken a step, and her whole body lost its center of gravity, falling directly face down to the ground. Seeing that Xiao Fang was about to fall like a dog eating mud. At this time, a gentle force enveloped her, holding her body and keeping her from falling. Sun Hao walked toward Xiao Fang step by step, and his body slowly changed, returning to its original appearance. When Xiao Fang saw Sun Hao, tears brewed in her eyes. She was extremely excited. I knew it, I knew it! You are the young master, sure enough. Young master, you came to save us again. Xiao Fang stood in place, stamping her feet, tears in her eyes, falling down. Sun Hao stood in front of Xiao Fang and looked up at the sky. In his eyes, a flash of light passed quickly. Kacha, the mysterious force that bound Xiao Fang's body, disintegrated instantly. At this moment, Xiao Fang regained her freedom. Without any hesitation, she threw herself directly into Sun Hao's arms and hugged him tightly. Young master, thank you! You saved me again. Tears soaked Sun Hao's clothes thoroughly. Sun Hao gently patted Xiao Fang's shoulder to show comfort. Xiao Fang, you're welcome, I'm late. You've suffered. These words were like hitting Xiao Fang's pain point, and the tears that had stopped flowed out again. End of this chapter. Chapter 600. Young master, I finally see you. How have you been in the past 50 years? By the way, have you rescued Madame Rumeng? Xiao Fang looked at Sun Hao and asked. Hearing this, Sun Hao sighed secretly and roughly told her about what had happened in the past 50 years. Xiao Fang listened to Sun Hao's story, and her expression changed. She clenched her fists, and her face was resentful. Young master, Madame Rumeng is a lucky person, she will be fine. They threatened you with Madame, I think they have a purpose, they will not do anything to Madame. Xiao Fang said. I hope so. Sun Hao looked at the sky with a sad face. Then, he looked at Xiao Fang and asked, By the way, how have you been these years? Xiao Fang sighed inwardly and began to speak. Young master, these years, we have been forced to hide by the Yen Luan Emperor. Finally, we fell into a dangerous place, where we all got a lot of good fortune. Our strength smoothly broke through to the Saint Realm. After coming out, we met Master Mingji and the others, they also got some good fortune, and their strength advanced by leaps and bounds. We used a scheme together to kill the Yen Luan Emperor, and then Senior Ingyu smoothly sat on the throne of the Emperor, no one doubted it. Later, after many inquiries, we learned that the Son of Heaven controlled the world and used a scheme to let the two countries kill each other. Especially the ancient monster bloodline, countless were killed by him and became sacrifices. Knowing this, we made a plan to kill the Son of Heaven. You should have seen everything next. Speaking of this, Xiao Fang's expression showed a dispirited look. Young master, it's our fault for not being strong enough to cause this situation. Xiao Fang looked apologetic. Xiao Fang was like a budding flower bud, giving people a different kind of beauty. Two small steamed buns, neither big nor small, just right. The strange fragrance of flowers came to the nose from time to time. It strongly stimulated Sun Hao's nasal cavity, and the whole person was extremely comfortable. That kind of lovable appearance made people full of protective desire. Xiao Fang, I don't blame you. It's all my fault I came late. I made you suffer. Sun Hao said. Young master, you are so kind. Xiao Fang threw herself on Sun Hao's chest and hugged him tightly. The two soft balls pressed against his chest, and the fragrance entered his nostrils. For a moment it was like a divine dragon emerging from the sea, as if it wanted to compete with the heavens. Sensing Sun Hao's strangeness, Xiao Fang's face was slightly red. He stretched out his hand and grabbed it. Instantly. Sizzle, Sun Hao was like an electric shock. The divine dragon stood proudly, as if it could break through the heavens and earth. However, no matter how much the divine dragon struggled, it was useless. It could only allow itself to be slaughtered. "Young master, you haven't released it in a long time, right?" Xiao Fang said with a red face. This, Sun Hao looked startled. For a while, it was hard to answer. "Young master, don't be shy, let me help you. Anyway, in the past it was us and Madam who released it together with you. Otherwise, Madam won't be able to take it." Xiao Fang's words were gentle to the bottom of his heart. Sun Hao couldn't give birth to the slightest feeling of resistance. The next second, the sky-covering giant hand reached into the dragon's nest and pulled out the entire dragon god. What happened next could not be described with words. Tens of thousands of words should be omitted here. Half a day later, Kacha, a series of cracking sounds of the realm membrane sounded. Xiao Fang's strength, continuously improved, reached the 8th stage of the Saint Realm. She froze in place with an excited look on her face. It took her a long time to recover her mood. Looking up at Sun Hao, her face was full of gratitude. "Hey, mine seems to be a lot bigger. My skin seems to be smoother. There are so many benefits to dual cultivation with the young master," Xiao Fang thought to herself as her face turned red. On the other side, Sun Hao was also stunned in place. His own realm also increased rapidly, reaching the peak of the 9th stage of the Saint Realm. Only one step away from reaching the Holy Spirit Realm. The strength of this dual cultivation couldn't be underestimated. Compared with the power of faith, it was not much worse. After the two recovered their mood and dressed up neatly, Xiao Fang took Sun Hao's arm. "Young master, let's go find Xiao Fun and the others?" Xiao Fang asked. "Okay." Sun Hao nodded, took Xiao Fang, and left quickly. In an instant, they disappeared without a trace. After the two disappeared, a silhouette slowly appeared. This person was none other than Qin Shilua. She looked in the direction of Sun Hao's disappearance, and the corner of her mouth raised a faint smile. "Little guy, I didn't think that you would break the shackles so quickly, not slower than me at all. Moreover, your realm has improved again, which is really beyond my expectation. However, this is a little interesting. Otherwise, it must not be fun. Your inheritance must be mine. It's time to arrange it." Thinking like this, Qin Shilua took a step forward, his figure flashed, and also disappeared in place. After Qin Shilua disappeared, another figure slowly emerged. This figure was a man. He was dressed in a red robe, and his hair was also fiery red. Even the skin of his whole body was red, emitting a metallic luster. He looked at Sun Hao's disappearing back, and the corner of his mouth raised a cruel smile. "Godly cunning immortal, I didn't expect you to come here. In my territory, I want to see what kind of storm you can turn over. Next, the good show is about to begin. I hope you can hold on and don't die too fast." The corners of the red-robed man's mouth curled up. He was obviously smiling, but after people saw it, they couldn't help but feel creepy and uncomfortable. Somewhere in the battlefield of the strange battle, on a tribal square. At this moment, it was in the evening. Halala, next to a huge bonfire, a group of men and women surrounded the bonfire, singing unknown songs. Not in the same place, but in a cage. Men and women were imprisoned in it. These people were the ones who came to participate in the strange battle. Among these people, Huang Yuli was among them. She looked at these singers, and her face changed slightly. In the past few days, every time they sang, several people would be slaughtered like livestock. Or boiled, or fried, or steamed, or roasted, they were completely treated as dishes. And herself, there was an inexplicable force that she couldn't break free at all. Am I going to be eaten by them too? A look of despair was written all over her face. No, I can't die like this. I must see Meng before I die. She will definitely be saved by the young master. If they can be happy, I will die without regrets. Huang Yuli muttered to herself, looking at the sky. Her eyes seemed to penetrate hundreds of millions of miles. Halala, suddenly, A shout awakened Huang Yuli. She looked up and saw an old man wearing a feather crown holding a scepter, pointing at her. This finger was like the finger of a demon from hell. Huang Yuli's body trembled and cold sweat flowed. Is it my turn? Chapter 601. Take her, it's her tonight. The chieftain pointed at Huang Yuli and said. Yes, a burly man stood out, wielding a blade sharpened from wolf fangs, and stabbed towards Huang Yuli's neck. Looking at the incoming blade, Huang Yuli couldn't help but close her eyes and quietly await her death. 2 lines of tears rolled down from the corner of her eyes. The blade was about to pierce Huang Yuli's neck. At this moment, the blade turned, aiming at the chieftain's neck, and stabbed down. Pu-sia, the sound of the blade piercing flesh rang out. The chieftain's neck was pierced. As the blade was pulled out, blood sprayed. The chieftain covered his neck with his hand, and the scepter in his hand emitted a green light, flying toward the wound on his neck. The neck injury was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, Pu-sia, another blade, fiercely pierced into the chieftain's heart. Purring, the chieftain fell to the ground, twitching non-stop. Blood dyed the ground completely red. Purring, the chieftain kept twitching, and the light of the scepter in his hand became dimmer and dimmer. Finally, his body tilted, and he died. His eyes were wide open, and he died with a grievance. Such a scene directly scared the others to the spot. They looked at the burly man, their expressions changing. The chieftain was killed, come quickly! A loud shout shaking the sky. This sound attracted the people dancing and singing not far away. They reacted extremely quickly, holding all kinds of weapons, quickly surrounding the burly man. In the blink of an eye, they surrounded the burly man. Facing all this, the burly man's expression did not change, as if it had nothing to do with him. He stood there calmly, motionless. Tuoba-jean, you're rebelling, you dare to kill the chieftain, go, tie him up! A man pointed at the burly man, shouting loudly. After this shout, kill! This group of men and women advanced and retreated in an orderly manner, combining offense and defense, pouncing toward the burly man together. The burly man stood there, motionless. Seeing that, several spears were about to pierce him into a hornet's nest. At this time, the burly man moved. He took a step forward, instantly disappearing. When he reappeared, he was already next to a woman. Without any protective feelings, he waved the dagger in his hand, aimed at her heart, and stabbed. Pu-sia, the woman's chest was pierced. The burly man pulled out his dagger and disappeared again in a flash. The woman's body fell to the ground in a daze. After twitching a few times, she stopped moving. Pu-sia, another man's neck was pierced through, and his body collapsed, dying with everlasting regret. In less than a moment, several people fell to the ground. When the leader of the group saw this, he stood rooted to the ground with a look of disbelief on his face. The next second, a ghostly figure appeared behind him. The leader's pupils shrank, and the hair on his body stood on end. His body trembled uncontrollably. The saber light flashed. The leader's head flew up and landed heavily on the ground. His body also fell to the ground, and after twitching a few times, there was no more movement. However, all of this did not stop. The burly man was like a ghost, flashing everywhere. Every time he appeared, someone would be killed by him. After a while, only the burly man stood there. He stood there, his expression unchanged. Even his clothes were still the same color, not tainted by the slightest bit of blood. Looking at this burly man, Huang Yuli could not help but frown. Obviously, she had never seen this burly man before. Why would he save her? It did not make sense at all. The burly man walked towards her step by step. Soon, he stood in front of Huang Yuli. The blade in his hand was as fast as lightning, slashing at the top of Huang Yuli's head. Kacha! A cracking sound rang out. The mysterious power that bound Huang Yuli's body suddenly collapsed. At this moment, Huang Yuli regained her freedom. At the same time, her God-Emperor realm strength was completely restored. Bang! With a slight force, the rope on Huang Yuli's body broke. She landed lightly and stood in front of the burly man. "Thank you for saving my life, brother." Huang Yuli bowed. In the next moment, Huang Yuli's expression changed slightly, with a look of disbelief. Only to see. A ray of light flashed in the burly man's eyes. His eyes regained clarity, and his body fell straight to the ground, dying with everlasting regret. "This is?" Huang Yuli looked at the burly man on the ground, frowning and thinking. "This is the charm technique. Could it be that Lai Na used it on him? Lai Na regained her freedom and came to save me?" Just as she finished speaking, a figure appeared in front of Huang Yuli. This person was none other than the Hu Laina that she had mentioned. "Lai Na, is it really you?" Huang Yuli was surprised. "Sister Yuli, you guessed it. You're really amazing," Hu Laina said. Don't flatter me. I'm not as amazing as you, to be able to break free from that mysterious power." Huang Yuli looked at Hu Laina and said, "Sister, you think too highly of me. I don't have that ability." Hu Laina said, "It's not you? Did someone else help you cut off that mysterious power?" Huang Yuli asked. "That's right." Hu Laina smiled and nodded, revealing a look of worship. "Guess who that person is? To have this ability, his strength is at least that of a sage. Could it be Master Ming Wu?" Huang Yuli asked. "No, Master Ming Wu also couldn't cut off that mysterious power," Hu Laina said. "Then who is it?" Huang Yuli was confused, unable to understand. "Of course it's the young master." As soon as these words came out, it was like a thunderclap in Huang Yuli's mind. Her whole person froze in place, revealing an unbelievable surprise. "The young master is in the demon ancestral realm?" "Yes." Hu Laina nodded. Huang Yuli let out a long sigh of relief, her whole person revealing an incomparably moved expression. "The young master really did everything to save us again. Our demon ancestral mountain really owes the young master too much. In this life we can't repay it." Huang Yuli said. "Yes. Our heavenly fox clan also owes the young master." Hu Laina nodded repeatedly. The two of them exchanged greetings for a while. After a while, they suppressed the excitement in their hearts. "By the way, the young master asked me to save you, to let us gather at Yunlai City," Hu Laina said. "Yunlai City?" Huang Yuli looked puzzled. "Sister Yuli, Yunlai City is the main city of the blue side." At this point, Hu Laina pointed to the sky. "Look, that's a countdown." Only to see. In the sky, a string of numbers was displayed. 521, 12, 49". In 5 days the war will officially start. We must gather at Cloud City as soon as possible. Hu Laina's words caused Huang Yuli to be confused. She nodded along. "All right, let's go to Yunlai City now," Huang Yuli said. "All right." The two of them took a step and were about to move. In front of the two of them, the space shook and rippled. A figure walked out of the ripples and stood in front of Huang Yuli. Seeing this figure, Huang Yuli's pupils shrank and her face changed greatly. "It's you." Chapter 602. In a great hall in Yunlai City, Sun Hao sat in the main seat, like an emperor who ruled the world. In front of him were 2 rows of people sitting on stools, each of them emitting the aura of a sacred realm cultivator. Among these people were Ning Mingji and his 3 disciples, Xiao Fun and Xiao Fang, Hu Luodi and Hu Luoxian. Every one of them was familiar with him. People like Su Yiling, Shui Mei, Xianyuan Shi, and others have all broken through to the sage realm. At this moment, they were summoned from Sun Hao's soul space. There were more than 100 sages in total. "Have you searched the blue side?" Sun Hao looked at Ning Mingji and asked. "Young master, we have searched everywhere. All the monster races we found in the human world have been sent into your soul space." Ning Mingji stood up with a respectful look. Sun Hao nodded slightly when he heard this. "How many more haven't been found?" Sun Hao asked. "It's impossible to estimate the exact number. For now, the people we're familiar with are Sun Wukong, Senior Ingyu, Ning Mingji said a bunch of names. Sun Hao listened to these, and his gaze swept into the distance, seemingly penetrating hundreds of millions of miles. Looks like they're all on the red team. By the way, is Senior Lai Na back? Sun Hao asked. Young master, my mother hasn't returned yet. Hu Luodi stood up and said. He didn't come back? Sun Hao frowned slightly, revealing a thoughtful look. With Hu Laina's current abilities, saving Huang Yuli shouldn't be a problem. The two of them should have returned long ago. Why hadn't they returned after so long? Wait for me. Sun Hao's mind moved, and he instantly disappeared in place. When he reappeared, he was already at the place where Huang Yuli was tied up. On the ground there were some corpses. Looking at the technique, it should be the result of Hu Laina controlling others to make a move. They should have been rescued, but why didn't they gather at Yunlai City? Could it be that something had happened during this time? Thinking like this, Sun Hao's mind moved, and he used the law of karma. The karma traces around him slowly appeared in Sun Hao's mind. After a while, Sun Hao opened his eyes, and his face was solemn. Even the karmic traces have been erased. Even I couldn't detect it. Was it done by Senior Yuli? Impossible. Sun Hao directly denied. There was no need for Senior Yuli to do this. Even if it was necessary for them to do so, it was impossible for them to not notice it in front of his strength. Who is it? Sun Hao frowned, revealing a thoughtful look. Could it be the son of the heavenly Tao? Why did he kidnap Senior Yuli and the others? This doesn't make any sense. If he can hide himself from detection, dealing with me won't be a problem at all. There's no need to kidnap Senior Yuli. If it's not him, then who has the strength to do so? Demonic forefather Li Fire? That's not quite possible. I have no enmity with him. Why would I kidnap them? If it's not the Li Fire demonic ancestor, then who is it? Could it be the darkness taboo? That's not quite possible either. The taboo of darkness has already kidnapped Ru Meng and the others. There's no need to kidnap Senior Yuli. For a while, Sun Hao didn't have any thoughts and couldn't figure out who it was. No matter who it is, when I find out, I'll definitely scatter your soul. Sun Hao secretly clenched his fists and hid his killing intent in his heart. After he calmed down, he raised his head and looked at the sky. The alien war has officially begun. There are only 3 days left. Sun Hao was about to leave. Buzz, layers of ripples appeared in front of him. A figure appeared in front of Sun Hao. The person who came was none other than Ning Mingji. Young master, Ning Mingji wanted to say something but hesitated. It seemed that he had something to say to Sun Hao. Brother Ning, just say it. Sun Hao said. Young master. Ning Mingji took out a black crystal ball and handed it to Sun Hao. This was left by the master. We have no use for it. I'm here to give it to young master. Please accept it. Ning Mingji said. Master? Are you talking about Qingyang? Sun Hao held the black crystal ball and kept looking at it. Inside the black crystal ball, there was no energy fluctuation. It looked like an ordinary object. Yes, young master. I can't see the use of this thing in our hands at all. Maybe in your hands you can find the use, Ning Mingji said. If that's the case, then I'll accept it first. Sun Hao put the black crystal ball into the soul space. Let's go back first and talk. After speaking, Sun Hao took Ning Mingji, moved his mind, and returned to the main hall. Young master, you went to find my mother? Did you find them? Hu Luodi looked at Sun Hao with a worried face. Sun Hao shook his head slightly. There is an existence that I can't figure out that robbed your mother and the others. What? Hu Luodi was shocked. Even the young master couldn't figure out what kind of existence it was. It seemed that his mother was in danger. Thinking of this, Hu Luodi's eyes, tears were brewing, and he resisted crying. Don't worry, your mother should be fine. When I am strong enough, I will save her, Sun Hao said. And Huluadi nodded heavily and wiped the tears in his eyes. Now, the strange war is about to start. I'm afraid this strange war is far from simple. What do you think about this? Sun Hao looked at the crowd and asked. Young master. Ning Mingji stood up first. According to my investigation, I found that there are less than 10 people who survive the strange war once every 10,000 years. And the Son of Heaven in this demon ancestral realm is also changed every 10,000 years. The people who participate every time are the outstanding talents of the demon ancestral realm, and their strength is high. I think, in fact, this strange war is just a battlefield to cultivate the Son of Heaven. And these people who participate in the war are nourishment. As for the rest of the people, it's just a little sweetness given by the Son of Heaven to the demon ancestral realm to let them participate in the strange war regardless of everything. Listening to Ning Mingji's analysis, everyone nodded slightly. Sun Hao looked at Ning Mingji and also nodded secretly. This guy thought the same thing as himself. His brain was quite good. The strange war is about to start, so what are your plans? Sun Hao asked. Young master, it's actually very simple, just do one thing, save people. Ning Mingji said. Save people? Why save people? Everyone looked at Ning Mingji with puzzled faces. Ning Mingji smiled slightly and continued to speak. If my guess is right, the strange war is actually to let everyone die, and devour their energy for our own use. We save people just to destroy the plot of the mastermind behind the scenes. Another advantage is that the people saved will definitely be used by us and stand in the same camp as us. Everyone also knows that the dark era has started again, and the dark taboo has been hiding in the dark and ready to move. We need to unite all the forces that can be united in order to get through this crisis. Moreover, young master also said that the dark era is actually a small crisis, and there is a bigger crisis waiting for us. Ning Mingji's words, when heard by everyone, could not help but nod slightly. Chapter 603. Mu Bing's face was filled with confusion. Master Mingwu, what you said is very reasonable. However, how should we save them? Mu Bing asked. As for how to save them, young master has his own ways. After he said that, swish, everyone's eyes were fixed on Sun Hao. That's right. I have a way to save them. You all sit down and listen to my song. Sun Hao said. Yes. Everyone's faces were brimming with excitement. One by one, they quickly sat cross-legged on the ground. It's been a long time since I've heard young master play. I wonder how far we can grow with young master's current strength? Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. This is a great opportunity. Everyone showed a face of excitement, staring straight at Sun Hao. Sun Hao waved his right hand, and an ancient zither appeared in front of him. Clang, the sound of the zither rang out. Layers of colorful light waves vibrated out with Sun Hao's fingers, rushing out like flowing clouds, enveloping everyone in the hall. The multicolored light drilled into everyone's meridians, rapidly strengthening their bodies and increasing their strength. After a while, Kacha, the sound of the barrier of the realm breaking rang out. Su Yiling opened her eyes, and a touch of surprise was written all over her face. I've broken through to the second level of the Sage Realm so quickly. As expected of young master's zither playing, it's really amazing. However, my stomach feels even hungrier, and I can eat even more. Su Yiling touched her stomach and muttered to herself. Then, she closed her eyes again and began to absorb the multicolored light around her. Kacha, the sound of the barrier breaking kept ringing out. Everyone's faces were filled with excitement, and it took them a long time to calm down. Time passed slowly. Soon, half a day had passed. Haha, level 4 Saint Realm, unbelievable! Breaking through several realms in half a day. Who else in the world can do that? This is all thanks to young master. Cries of alarm rang out continuously. Everyone's eyes swept over Sun Hao with a look of worship. Sun Hao waved his right hand and collected all the shackles around him. Alright, everyone has the ability to cut off that mysterious power. Remember, what you need to do is to save as many people as possible. Set them free. Sun Hao said seriously. Yes, young master. Everyone cupped their fists and bowed. Brother Ning, I'll leave this to you. Sun Hao looked at Ning Mingji and said. Yes, young master. Ning Mingji stood up and nodded. Just as everyone stood up and prepared to leave, report. A guard ran in quickly. Young master, a woman named Qin Shilu outside said that she has something important to discuss with you. The guard said. Qin Shilua? Thinking of this name, Sun Hao thought of the land of inheritance. He walked around the alien war battlefield but didn't find any legacy land. There wasn't even a voice calling out to him. Did he really have to go through Qin Shilua's map to enter the land of inheritance? Thinking like this, Sun Hao secretly nodded. Let her in. Yes. The guards quickly retreated. Very soon, a graceful woman leisurely walked over. Every step she took was extremely tempting, causing one's mind to ripple. The person who came was Qin Shilua. Swish, all eyes were on Qin Shilua. Everyone had a different expression in their eyes. Qin Shilua smiled slightly, and a flash of surprise flashed across his face. Greetings, Senior Li Hua. Qin Shilua bowed and saluted. As soon as these words came out, everyone's face was full of doubts. But Sun Hao didn't say it, and no one pierced this layer of window paper. No need to be polite. Sun Hao smiled slightly, and his eyes were as if to see through Qin Shilua. Do you still think I am the Li Hua demonic ancestor? Sun Hao said with a smile. Qin Shilua looked startled, showing a sweet smile. Senior, with your strength, it is far beyond the Li Hua demonic ancestor. If you don't deny it, I can't change it. Qin Shilua said. Sun Hao didn't speak, just looked at Qin Shilua calmly. Qin Shilua's face was full of smiles, her face did not change, and her mood did not fluctuate. Hee, what is the matter with me this time? Sun Hao asked. Senior, you already know, I don't need to say more. Qin Shilua said. That's fine. Sun Hao stood up, his eyes swept to Ning Mingji, and said, Brother Ning, everything is up to you. I still have something to do, so I will leave first. Don't worry, I will come back as soon as possible. After speaking, Sun Hao and Qin Shilua's figures disappeared at the same time, without a trace. When they appeared again, the two came to a mountain range. Is it here? Sun Hao asked. Senior, the map in my mind shows that the entrance is just here. Qin Shilua looked at the mountain range and said with a frown. Sun Hao released his divine sense and scanned the entire mountain range, but found nothing. Before, he had also been here and also scanned, but he didn't find anything. No matter what this Qin Shilua planned, she had to take him to find the inheritance land. Are you sure? Sun Hao asked. It shouldn't be wrong, right? Qin Shilua scratched her head, showing a puzzled expression. Sun Hao looked at the mountain range in front of him, raised his fist, aimed at the front, and punched. Buzz, heaven and earth trembled, and the waves of air shook out. The whole world was shaking. Kacha, the sound of glass breaking rang out. The space in front of Sun Hao shattered inch by inch. Whoosh, the endless space turbulence blew up in Sun Hao's body. On his body, layers of fire splashed, as if cutting metal. However, it did not leave any injuries on his body. Buzz, in Sun Hao's eyes, two rays of light burst out, opening a path in the turbulence of space, leading directly to the distance. Sun Hao narrowed his eyes and stared directly into the depths of the turbulence of space, as if he could see through everything. Suddenly, he raised his eyebrows, and a strange light bloomed in his eyes. Buzz, suddenly there was a tremor in the soul space, as if something was about to jump out. Sun Hao covered his chest, showing a painful look. Senior, are you okay? Qin Shilua hurriedly stepped forward and supported Sun Hao. Her gentle little hand gently stroked Sun Hao's chest. For a long time, Sun Hao gradually calmed down. He looked at the space that had regained its calm, withdrew his gaze, and looked directly at Qin Shilua. "Senior, how is it, did you find anything?" Qin Shilua asked. "You're right, it's really here." Sun Hao nodded slightly. Hearing this, Qin Shilua raised the corner of her mouth and let out a long sigh of relief. "It's good here. I was afraid that Senior would think I lied to you and slap me to death." Qin Shilua showed a look of survival after a disaster. "Aren't you afraid that I'll slap you to death now?" Sun Hao asked. "Senior, how can you go back on your words?" Qin Shilua began to flatter. Chapter 604. Boom! Sun Hao stretched out his hand and blasted a palm forward again. Suddenly, heaven and earth exploded, and all the scenery, along with the space, burst apart, exploding into powder. All around, there was a tsunami-like space turbulence. These space turbulence, without any rules, flew around, and wherever they went, they could drown everything. In the eyes of people, their scalp was numb. Qin Shilua looked at the surrounding space turbulence, shivering with fear, and hurriedly hid behind Sun Hao. However, where was it useful? The space turbulence, rushing down rapidly, drowned her at once. Qin Shilua roared, mobilized her power, formed a shield, and covered her body. Gotcha! In just an instant, the shield on her body burst open. Immediately afterward, these space turbulence rushed over and quickly cut her body. Puff stab, scars were all over Qin Shilua's body. Boom! An arm was directly cut off and taken away by the space turbulence. Blood mist spurted. "Senior, help me!" Qin Shilua's face changed drastically, and she used all her strength to shout this sentence. However, after shouting this sentence, her limbs were once again cut by the space turbulence. Whoosh! The spatial turbulence surged over once more, wrapping around her entire body. Qin Shilua's eyes widened, and her face was full of unwillingness. Hesitation flickered across her face. Finally, she closed her eyes and waited quietly for death. Seeing that Qin Shilua was about to be cut into pieces. At this time, boom! With a loud bang, all the spatial turbulence was shattered and disappeared without a trace. A ray of colorful light rushed down from Sun Hao's hand, wrapping Qin Shilua. Qin Shilua's injuries recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Her limbs grew out again. She stood up and knelt down at Sun Hao. "Thank you, Senior, for saving my life." Qin Shilua kowtowed repeatedly. "No need, get up, stand around me, so that you won't be cut by the turbulence," Sun Hao said. "Yes, Senior." Qin Shilua began to tidy up her clothes, holding the two balls from time to time and shaking them gently. The erotic scene was indescribable. However, all this was completely ignored in Sun Hao's eyes. Qin Shilua looked good, but compared to Ru Meng, he was much weaker. Not to mention, these days in the soul space, he was doing dual cultivation with another person every day, experiencing the bliss of the world. Seeing that the seduction failed, Qin Shilua's eyes flashed with disappointment, and he stood honestly in front of Sun Hao. "Follow me." After saying that, Sun Hao opened his footsteps and walked forward. Buzz! He took a step forward, and the turbulent space in front of him trembled, opening up a path. Sun Hao walked forward step by step, and Qin Shilua followed closely behind him. She grabbed the corner of Sun Hao's clothes tightly, showing a nervous expression. He looked as if he had seen a terrifying monster and was extremely terrified. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. Now, the two of them stopped and looked at the sky together with shocked expressions. They saw. In front of the two of them was a large hall. The hall was 1,000 meters tall and completely black. A metallic luster radiated from it, making it look indestructible. That kind of majestic momentum surged up and swept in all directions. With the hall as the center, within 10,000 meters, there was no space turbulence approaching. "It's really here. What a magnificent hall, the Tao Ancestor's inheritance, it's really not simple." Qin Shilua looked at the hall, her eyes full of shock. A touch of excitement flashed in her eyes. Senior, the Tao Ancestor's inheritance has been found. You can go get the inheritance, Qin Shilua said. Don't you want it? Sun Hao said. Yes. Qin Shilua nodded again and again. However, with my strength, how can I be qualified to get the inheritance? These inheritances belong to you. The little girl only needs you to give me a little. Qin Shilua knelt on the ground, showing a look of fear. Sun Hao did not answer her, but walked forward calmly. That appearance like a powerful person who controls everything. Buzz, every step Sun Hao took, it would shake up layers of ripples. Buzz, suddenly there was a shock. The pressure on the hull, like the Milky Way pouring down, rushed straight to Sun Hao. Boom, it hit Sun Hao, and a deafening sound burst out. The shock wave spread out layer by layer, whistling between heaven and earth. Boom, these shock waves hit the turbulence of space and directly blasted into nothingness. The terrifying power in Qin Shilua's eyes showed a trace of shock. The corners of her mouth curled up into a faint smile. It's a little interesting. I didn't expect this little guy to grow up again. Fortunately, I was prepared, otherwise it would take a lot of effort. Qin Shilua thought secretly, and soon she recovered her panicked expression. Her heart was beating with Sun Hao's footstep. Who dared to break into this seat's territory? A loud shout shook heaven and earth. A black figure, surging from the hall, turned into a black giant, looked at Sun Hao coldly. The majestic aura vibrated out. Get out of the way! Sun Hao did not sign back to the black giant, but spoke coldly. Presumptuous! A loud shout shook heaven and earth. The terrifying coercion surged and all pressed on Sun Hao. Gotcha! There was a sound of joints rubbing. Sun Hao seemed to be unable to stand this kind of pressure, and his whole body bent down. His teeth were clenched, and he struggled to support his body to prevent himself from falling. Thump thump, Sun Hao's heart beat violently. His entire face was flushed red. Sun Hao showed a face of pain. He covered his chest in pain. This seat is also what you ants can offend? Go to hell. After the black giant finished speaking, he pointed forward. Buzz, in front of him, the space shook out layers of ripples, and a black monster rushed out of the ripples and rushed straight to Sun Hao. Each black monster was 100 meters tall. Howl! He grinned and howled, and his mouth was full of black teeth that emitted a metallic luster, which made people feel cold in their hearts. Adversity beast. Seeing these monsters, Qin Shilua couldn't help but be shocked, and in her eyes there was a trace of fear. Directly attack? Did I really make a mistake? This is unlikely? Qin Shilua thought secretly, her face full of worry. Her gaze followed the black monsters as they ran. Seeing the black monster was about to pounce on Sun Hao. At this time, all the black monsters stopped, stood in front of Sun Hao, and kept shaking their tails. That appearance was like licking dogs seeing their master return. At this moment, it was not only Sun Hao who was shocked in place. Even the black giant was stunned at the moment. Chapter 605. How is this possible? The black giant looked at the black monsters in front of Sun Hao, showing a look of disbelief. These monsters were all left by the master. Although there were only some remnant souls left, their nature was extremely fierce and would not listen to anyone's control. Unexpectedly, at this moment, they were facing that stranger like licking dogs. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. Is he the master? Thinking of this, the black giant's eyes bloomed with two strange rays of light. Plop! Facing Sun Hao, he knelt down and began to kowtow. Greetings, master. After waiting for so many years, I finally see you. The black giant showed a face of excitement. That look, happy like a child. Sun Hao was stunned in place, and after a few long breaths, he calmed down. The corners of his mouth raised, and he took 2 steps forward. Get up, no need to be polite. Sun Hao said. Thank you, master. The black giant stood up with an excited face. He opened his big mouth and murmured for a long time without spitting out. There seemed to be thousands of words in his heart. A moment later, "Master, please. This is the inheritance you left, only you can open it." The black giant changed to the size of a normal person and made a gesture of invitation. Buzz, the coercion that enveloped Sun Hao disappeared. Sun Hao stepped out and stood in front of the hall in an instant. The black giant stood behind Sun Hao with a group of black monsters, like a majestic army, waiting for Sun Hao's orders. "You guys stay here. I'm going in." After speaking, Sun Hao appeared in front of the hall door, stretched out 2 palms, and pushed toward the door. Qin Shilua looked at Sun Hao's movements, and a strange light bloomed in her eyes. Her heart beat violently, and her whole person was extremely nervous. Buzz, a heavy friction sound rang out. As Sun Hao pressed his hands, the door of the hall opened quickly, without Sun Hao's effort. Endless darkness came to his face, attracting the surrounding light clean. It was so dark that he couldn't see his fingers in front of him. People were shocked and sweating. What appeared in front of Sun Hao was like a black hole. "Come on. Come in quickly. I've waited too long and I can't hold on anymore." The call came from the hall. Hearing these calls, Sun Hao frowned slightly. A wave of uneasiness surged in his heart. Not good. Sun Hao shouted that it was not good. When he was about to step away and escape, a change occurred in the sky. Buzz, there was a tremor. Waves of terrifying energy surged from all directions of the hall. In an instant, Sun Hao and the black giant were all wrapped up. This power was so powerful that it made one's hair stand on end. Sun Hao frowned and struggled hard, but found that he was trapped in a quagmire. The more he struggled, the more severely his body was imprisoned. After a while, Sun Hao was horrified to find that his limbs could not move. The only part that could move was the area above the neck. What's going on?" Sensing that his body had been enveloped, the black giant's voice trembled as he looked around in fear. Suddenly, his gaze froze as he stared at the sky with a puzzled expression. They saw. A woman slowly descended from the sky. She was dressed in white, and the aura of the saint's spirit realm surged out from her body. She looked like a goddess descending from the heavens, causing people to feel endless worship. This person was none other than Qin Shilua. She looked at Sun Hao, and the corners of her mouth rose. Her calm expression was like that of a goddess in control of everything. "It's you. How is this possible?" Sun Hao's eyes showed deep surprise, and his face was full of puzzlement. Qin Shilua smiled slightly, extremely calm. "Yes, it's me." "Didn't expect it, Sun Hao," Qin Shilua said. Sun Hao lowered his head, revealing a thoughtful look. After thinking for a moment, he was also puzzled. "How could it be you? Isn't your strength the God Emperor realm?" Sun Hao said. "Ha ha!" Qin Shilua looked up to the sky and roared like crazy. It was as if he had heard the best joke in the world. That arrogant appearance was indescribable in words. "Yes, it's me. Let me tell you, in fact, everything about you is under my control. Why don't you believe it?" Qin Shilua looked at Sun Hao with a smile and said. "Impossible." Sun Hao shook his head. "Ha ha, since you helped me open the inheritance, then I will tell you everything. Let you die to understand. Your name is Sun Hao, and you were a Tao ancestor in your previous life. In your previous life, you controlled thousands of heavenly law, and your means were very strong. Even in this life, you are also very powerful on the heavenly law of formations. No matter what kind of formation you set up, you only need a finger to break it. However, what I arranged is not a formation, but a secret method. Moreover, it is a secret method that uses the innate holy treasure. Unless your strength is far stronger than mine, otherwise, don't even think about breaking it." Speaking of this, Qin Shilua stopped and looked at Sun Hao with a smile. Sun Hao's face was full of sadness and unwillingness, contained in it. Seeing Sun Hao's expression, the pride on Qin Shilua's face became more obvious. Sun Hao, I know your realm is now the Saint Ninth Stage realm, right? Only one step away from the Holy Spirit realm. You are a peerless genius, and it is not a problem for you to challenge the realm. If I'm right, your current physical body with the realm, killing the Holy Spirit First Stage Master is no problem. Even if you can fight the Holy Spirit Second Stage Master, I'm right, right? Qin Shilua said. How could you know? Sun Hao looked puzzled. Haha, Qin Shilua laughed proudly, and it took a long time to calm down. Sun Hao, I'll tell you, my strength is the Holy Spirit's Second Stage realm. With your current physical body, I think you can fight me equally. However, I have the assistance of the innate Holy Treasure, and it is no problem to deal with the Holy Spirit Third Stage realm. In front of me, you have no chance of winning. Are you desperate? Haha. Speaking of this, Qin Shilua laughed again, and his crazy appearance was indescribable. Who are you? Sun Hao asked. There is no problem telling you. I am one of the Dark Taboo generals, Hun Luo. Qin Shilua raised his head high with a proud face. Hun Luo. Sun Hao frowned with a puzzled face. Obviously, he had never heard of this name. Since you have captured me, then let Huang Yuli and the others go. Sun Hao said. Huang Yuli? Who is she? Qin Shilua looked puzzled. You don't know? Then why did you capture them to threaten me? Also, did you also capture Huang Ruming? Sun Hao said. Capture people to threaten you? Ha ha! My lord is proud and arrogant. How can he capture your people to threaten you? I think you must have made a mistake, Qin Shilua said. Not you? Sun Hao frowned, showing a puzzled look. Then who captured Ruming? And who was it that captured Huang Yuli? Chapter 606. Who, with a wave of Qin Shilua's right hand, Sun Hao's body flew out uncontrollably. Falling behind Qin Shilua, her figure flashed and disappeared at the entrance of the hall. When he appeared again, he was already in the hall. The floor of the hall was made of bluestone. In the center there was an ancient bronze coffin. Buzz, above the ancient coffin, black surged. Countless black runes surged around the ancient bronze coffin. The surging energy kept circling on the ancient bronze coffin. Come and sit here, I will give you the inheritance. I hope you can cherish the energy left by me. There were bursts of voices coming from the ancient bronze coffin. Every sentence was extremely tempting. Qin Shilua's eyes bloomed with a strange light, and she couldn't wait to rush forward. However, she didn't move. She looked at Sun Hao with a smile on her face. Sun Hao, don't worry, wait for me to get the inheritance, then I will kill you. My inheritance, how can you get it if you want to? Sun Hao snorted coldly. Haha, Qin Shilua looked up to the sky and laughed, extremely proud. Your inheritance? At this moment, do you still understand whose inheritance this is? Let me tell you, this is the inheritance left by the Tao Master, not by the Tao Ancestor. Qin Shilua smiled and stared at Sun Hao. Tao Master, is it left by Tao Qingyang? Sun Hao asked. Yes. Qin Shilua smiled slightly. It seems that you are not so stupid. How do you know that I can open the inheritance of Tao Qingyang? Sun Hao asked. It seems that you have not recovered any memory at all. Then I will reluctantly tell you. Because you were the best brothers in your previous life. After you became the Tao Ancestor, Tao Qingyang was the Tao Master, and the two of them were on an equal footing. It is reasonable to obtain the inheritance of Tao Qingyang. Sun Hao listened to these words. His face was full of sadness. He lowered his head and didn't say a word. That appearance, as if to accept all this. Despair gradually filled his face. Ha! Seeing the appearance of the once high and mighty Tao Ancestor like this, it makes me a little reluctant to kill you. I will become an eternal legend, an existence that kills the Tao Ancestor. At this point, Qin Shilua laughed again. His crazed appearance was indescribable. After a long time, she finally calmed down. Phew! Qin Shilua took a step forward and instantly appeared in front of the ancient coffin. Then, she sat down cross-legged. Phew! The endless black airflow rushed down in an instant and wrapped Qin Shilua up. Sizzle! These black streams of air, mixed with incomparably surging energy, surged all over his body. Everywhere it went, it was as if it had been electrocuted. All the cells in his body became active. Oh! Qin Shilua let out a loud cry of comfort. Her aura was rapidly strengthening. What a tremendous amount of energy! If I can absorb all of it, reaching Saint Spirit 5 Dan wouldn't be a problem at all. As expected of the inheritance left behind by the Tao Lord. It's really powerful. Qin Shilua muttered to himself, and the light in his eyes flickered. She tried her best to absorb it madly. As time passed, the black gas shrouding the ancient bronze coffin became less and less. In the end, it completely disappeared. Buzz! Qin Shilua opened his eyes, and 2 rays of light burst out. The aura of the 3rd level of the Saint Spirit realm whistled out, covering all directions. Kacha! The sound of joints exploding was continuous. Qin Shilua clenched his fists excitedly, and it took a long time for him to slowly loosen them. It's a pity that I only reached the 3rd level of the Saint Spirit realm. However, I feel that my strength has increased by at least 10 times, far from what the 2nd level of the Saint Spirit realm can compare with. Qin Shilua muttered to himself, took a long sigh of relief, and stared directly at Sun Hao. Sun Hao, thank you for all this. I'll give you a choice. Tell me, how do you want to die? Qin Shilua looked at Sun Hao, showing an expression of controlling everything. Die. Sun Hao changed his haggard look and looked at Qin Shilua with a smile. You're so sure of this seat? Seeing Sun Hao's expression, Qin Shilua looked startled, and a sense of uneasiness flashed away. Could it be that this guy still has some trump cards? It's impossible. I've calculated the strength he showed. The inheritance was also absorbed by me. Where did his trump card come from? It must be pretentious to scare me. Thinking of this, Qin Shilua raised the corner of his mouth, stepped forward, and stepped in front of Sun Hao. Then, he stretched out his palm and grabbed Sun Hao's neck. Death is imminent, and you still dare to talk nonsense. Die! Qin Shilua's palm exerted force, as if to grab Sun Hao's neck in powder. At this time, Sun Hao's body suddenly struggled out of Qin Shilua's bondage, and moved 2 steps back. At the same time, he stretched out his fist, aimed at Qin Shilua's palm, and blasted it over. Qin Shilua's eyes widened, showing an unbelievable expression. She wanted to retreat, but there was no time. Boom! There was a loud noise. This punch was like the explosion of a star. The terrifying power all fell on Qin Shilua's palm. The Saint Spirit barrier on her body kept shaking, as if it would explode at any moment. Tap tap! Qin Shilua's body stepped straight back, looking at Sun Hao in astonishment. How is this possible? How could your body resist the attack of the 3rd level of the Saint Spirit? Qin Shilua muttered to herself, her face full of disbelief. Although she was at the 3rd level of the Saint Spirit realm, she was afraid that even the 4th level of the Saint Spirit realm couldn't deal with her. A little guy, relying on his body alone, could blast her back. How was this possible? Qin Shilua kept shaking her head, unwilling to believe everything in front of her. The next second, her pupils contracted, and her face changed drastically. She saw. Sun Hao had already appeared in front of her, raised his fist, and blasted over. This punch, unexpectedly, blasted at Qin Shilua's stomach. Boom! The whole hall was buzzing and trembling. Qin Shilua's body flew out upside down and hit the bronze coffin heavily. Boom! Her body fell to the ground, bowing on the ground like a shrimp, showing a painful expression. The yellow bile seemed to be about to be spat out. Qin Shilua recovered after taking a few breaths of cold air. She struggled to stand up and looked at Sun Hao, showing a look of unwillingness. Looking at Qin Shilua, who stood up, Sun Hao's eyes showed a trace of surprise. It seems that 10% of the power can only hurt you. It's really beyond my expectation. This sentence, like a thunderclap, struck Qin Shilua's mind. Her heart felt like it was hit by a storm, and she couldn't calm down for a long time. For a long time. She recovered her shock and stared at Sun Hao as if to see through him. Sun Hao, you hit it deep enough, the strength of your body has reached this level. However, if you want to defeat me with your body, it's far from enough. Chapter 607. On Qin Shilua's body, black gas rushed up. From every hole in her body, like the cry of a steam engine, shook the entire hall, trembling. Qin Shilua let out a shrill scream. Every strand of hair on his body stood upright. That scene, like a peerless demon, made people's hearts tremble. Sun Hao looked at this scene and did not move. In his eyes, there was a look of caution. A moment later, Qin Shilua's black hair danced wildly, and her whole aura expanded several times. In her eyes, it was as dark as ink, without any white eyes. On the claws, the sharp nails seemed to be able to tear everything. Sun Hao, you forced me to do this. The 4th level of the Holy Spirit realm, with my innate holy treasure, how can you be my opponent? Now kneel down and beg for mercy, I can spare your life. Qin Shilua's voice was like thunder, echoing throughout the hall. She stared at Sun Hao as if she wanted to swallow him. However, Sun Hao's face did not change at all. He just looked at Qin Shilua calmly. Don't talk? Scared silly? In that case, I will break your arm first. Qin Shilua was crazy, her body danced wildly, and appeared on Sun Hao in an instant. Terrifying power, penetrated from her fingertips, aimed at Sun Hao's arm, and grabbed over. Seeing that, she was about to catch Sun Hao. At this time, plop! A sound rang out. Qin Shilua's body uncontrollably knelt down in front of Sun Hao, and her strength was exhausted, and she could not stand up. The mournful roar shook the entire hall until it buzzed. Qin Shilua seemed to have been punished with extreme pain. Gradually, her strength was exhausted, and her whole body crawled on the ground, without a trace of struggle. Qin Shilua's face was full of unwillingness, and she raised her head slightly and looked at Sun Hao. When she saw the item in Sun Hao's hand, her face changed dramatically, and she didn't believe it. This is impossible. How can you have Chaos Spirit Bead? Qin Shilua's words were full of surprise. Hearing this, Sun Hao smiled slightly. Looking at the black crystal ball in his hand, he nodded secretly. So this is called Chaos Spirit Bead. This thing was given to him by Ning Mingji not long ago. He didn't expect that he would be able to restrain Qin Shilua here. Today, if not for this primal chaos profound bead, everything would have been hard to say. What? You actually don't know that this is a primal chaos profound bead? Then how can you control all of this? Qin Shilua looked at Sun Hao with a puzzled expression. Sun Hao smiled faintly, revealing an expression of being in control of everything. Because your performance is too brainless. Your intention is so obvious. How can I not see it? You can see my realm? Qin Shilua asked. Not at all. There's no need for that. I've noticed you since a long time ago. Your purpose is also too obvious. You want to borrow my hand to open the inheritance, and then reap the benefits, Sun Hao said. If that's the case, then why do you still dare to follow me like this? Could it be because of the primal chaos profound bead? Qin Shilua asked. That's not it. Sun Hao smiled and shook his head. Then why? There are 2 reasons. Firstly, my physical body is strong enough to deal with a 4th-level saint spirit. As soon as these words came out, Qin Shilua's eyes widened, revealing an expression of disbelief. No wonder. Qin Shilua looked dispirited, showing a face of unwillingness. What's the second reason? The second reason is that this Dao Qingyang's inheritance is not something that anyone can obtain just because they want to. What you obtained is not the inheritance of the Dao Qingyang puppet. As soon as the words fell, rumble like a thunderbolt, it directly hit Qin Shilua's head. She looked at Sun Hao and kept shaking her head. This is impossible. How can this be the inheritance of the puppet? You must be lying. You want to deceive me in this way? Don't even think about it. Qin Shilua supported her trembling body and stood up. Her face was pale and she stared at Sun Hao. He, Sun Hao smiled faintly and squeezed gently. Buzz, the primal chaos profound bead shook. It seemed to affect the power of Qin Shilua's body, and it vibrated with the primal chaos profound bead. Infinite black gas rushed up from Qin Shilua's body and quickly flew towards the primal chaos profound bead. Qin Shilua held a colorful stone tightly in her hand. Above the stone, a terrifying power burst out, frantically resisting the power above the primal chaos profound bead. However, it was useless. The stone could not resist the primal chaos profound bead at all, and could only let it devour Qin Shilua's power clean. Plop, Qin Shilua fell unsteadily and fell heavily to the ground. The power in her body was devoured clean, just like a mortal. She could no longer support the colorful stone and let it roll to Sun Hao. This is an innate holy treasure. Sun Hao picked up the colorful stone on the ground and looked at it in his hand. His eyes couldn't help but shine. Heaven-mending spirit stone? Sun Hao held this stone, and there was a rush of information. This stone was condensed from the essence of heaven and earth, and it contained a shocking power. Later, after nuance refining, the power inside was more pure and condensed. Its quality was much stronger than the primal chaos profound bead in his hand. This thing was just a waste in Qin Shilua's hands. She could only exert 1/10,000th of her power. However, with her current strength, she could only exert 1,000th of her power at most. When she reached the Holy Spirit, she would be able to exert 1% of her power. At that time, how strong she would be was probably unimaginable. No, seeing Sun Hao put the heaven-mending spirit stone into the soul space, she let out an unwilling roar. Sun Hao smiled slightly, standing in front of Qin Shilua, looking down at her. Say, what are your last words? Last words. Qin Shilua looked startled, showing a face of disbelief. You want to kill me? Do you know who I am? I am the general of the Dark Taboo. If you touch me, the Dark Taboo will not let you go. Qin Shilua said lightly. The threat was very obvious. Sun Hao smiled coldly, his face did not change. He walked towards Qin Shilua step by step, cold killing intent, without any concealment. Seeing Sun Hao unmoved, Qin Shilua's face changed dramatically. A fatal crisis enveloped her heart. She wanted to escape, but how could she escape when she had become a mortal? Now it was extremely difficult to even move. At this moment, she was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Don't force me! Stop! When I summon the Lord, I will let your soul fly away and scatter. Qin Shilua let out a burst of roar. However, it didn't work at all. Soon, Sun Hao stood in front of Qin Shilua. It seems that you have finished saying your last words. Sun Hao smiled slightly, stretched out his palm, aimed at Qin Shilua's head and pressed it down. How dare you? Lord help! Qin Shilua shouted this sentence loudly with all her strength. Chapter 608. My Lord help! Qin Shilua's voice contained some kind of power, spreading out and spreading in all directions. This sound caused the entire hall to tremble. The echo echoed in the hall, and did not dissipate for a long time. After a long time, the surroundings gradually calmed down. Sun Hao stopped and looked around in a daze, showing a vigilant look on his face. After waiting for a while, there was no response from all around. Qin Shilua lowered her head, showing a dispirited look. The whole person seemed to be dozens of years older, haggard. I was abandoned by the Lord, do it. Qin Shilua closed her eyes and waited quietly for death. 2 lines of tears fell from the corners of her eyes. In that case, I will fulfill your wish. After saying that, Sun Hao stretched out his palm and continued to press towards Qin Shilua's head. Seeing that, Qin Shilua was about to be crushed into powder. At this time, Sun Hao stopped, and the corner of his mouth raised a faint smile. You don't beg for mercy, have some backbone. I will give you a chance to live. Now recognize me as the Lord. I can spare your life, Sun Hao said. Hearing this, Qin Shilua's face changed. Finally, a firm look appeared on her face. If you want to kill me, I will never frown. Sun Hao looked startled, and surprise was written all over his face. Unexpectedly, she didn't rebel even if she was abandoned. It was really unexpected. What benefits did the dark taboo give her to make her so loyal? Is the dark taboo worth your sacrifice? Sun Hao asked. Hee. Qin Shilua smiled coldly. What the Lord did is not what you can imagine. Don't talk nonsense, kill me. Qin Shilua closed her eyes and waited quietly for death. However, Sun Hao did not kill. The corner of his mouth raised, revealing a treacherous smile. Since you want to die, I won't let you die. I will refine you into a puppet and let your consciousness watch how I obliterate the dark taboo in the flesh. Wouldn't it be interesting? After saying that, Sun Hao took out the Chaos Xian bead and placed it in his hand. Buzz, the Chaos Xian bead began to tremble. Wisps of black silk rushed up from the Chaos Xian bead and rushed straight to Qin Shilua. Seeing these black qi, Qin Shilua's face changed greatly. No, she let out an unwilling roar. In less than a moment, her voice gradually stopped, and her face gradually became calm. Phew, Qin Shilua's aura increased rapidly. Kacha, in just an instant, his cultivation had reached the second layer Saint Spirit realm. However, this did not stop. Her strength continued to surge. Not long after, Qin Shilua had reached the 5th level of the Holy Spirit realm. A surging aura swept out in all directions. She slowly opened her eyes. There was no emotion on her face. She looked like a puppet. Plop. Without any hesitation, Qin Shilua knelt down. Greetings, Master. Qin Shilua knelt in front of Sun Hao and kowtowed. Get up. Stand aside and watch as I obtain Dao Qingyang's inheritance. Sun Hao looked at Qin Shilua and said. These words did not seem to be said to the puppet Qin Shilua, but to the consciousness inside. No, in Qin Shilua's mind, the consciousness was so suppressed that it could not breathe smoothly and could not move at all. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't struggle. She was like a passer-by watching her body being controlled, and she was powerless. Moreover, with her consciousness, she couldn't die even if she wanted to. She could only look at everything around her. Yes, Master. Qin Shilua stood up expressionlessly. Sun Hao glanced at Qin Shilua and nodded with satisfaction. A puppet was formed just like that. Moreover, this puppet would never betray unless he agreed. The master of the 5th level of the Holy Spirit realm turned out to be just a puppet of himself. If this were to be said, even if Nuwa knew, she would probably be shocked and drop her chin, right? Sun Hao's face showed a smug look, and he didn't care about Qin Shilua's body, which was hiding in his mind and roaring. Tap tap, Sun Hao walked to the front of the bronze coffin, and the corner of his mouth raised a happy smile. Qin Shilua, don't you know that inside this coffin is the real inheritance? Now, let me get it. After speaking, Sun Hao stretched out his hand and gently pulled forward. Buzz, there was a vibration on the bronze coffin. The heavy friction sound slowly sounded. The coffin lid slowly floated up and floated in midair. A phantom stepped out and floated in midair. This phantom was extremely handsome, with a stylish body, and there was no fault to be found. Even compared with Sun Hao, it was not much worse. The whole thing looked natural, and there was no fault to be found. You are the big brother. Seeing Sun Hao, the phantom trembled with excitement. His figure flashed and appeared in front of Sun Hao in an instant. Are you Dao Qingyang? Sun Hao asked. Hearing this, the phantom was so excited that his eyes were full of tears. Big brother, I didn't expect you to remember me. Sun Hao smiled slightly with a bitter face. He still remembered a fart. Big brother, you are here. The dark era must have started, right? The phantom asked. Yes. Sun Hao said. Is that thing also going to start? The phantom's eyes were full of worry. That thing? Sun Hao looked puzzled. Universe mad demon, big brother, have you forgotten? That's an existence that can destroy a universe with one punch. One punch can burst out countless destructive rays. The phantom said one sentence at a time, his voice solemn. Destructive rays? Is it gamma rays? At this point, Sun Hao's scalp was numb. Wherever that kind of ray went, it could destroy everything. The highest energy in the universe, even a star, would be destroyed in front of that energy. The degree of terror was unimaginable. Were those cosmic giants the universe mad demons? Were they going to find the three realms? Sun Hao thought secretly, his face full of worry. Big brother, this is a little inheritance I left for you. I hope you can accept it and make good use of it. It's up to you to deal with the universe mad demons. My inheritance can't be compared with Big Brother's. It will take a while for Big Brother to refine it all. Please guard your mind, Big Brother, I'm going to start. Hearing this, Sun Hao did not dare to be careless. After sitting cross-legged on the ground, he began to guard his mind. Whoosh! Hundreds of millions of strands of golden light rushed up from the phantom's hand and went straight to Sun Hao. These golden lights, with a terrifying aura, rushed down from the top of Sun Hao's head and rushed in the meridians. The meridians of Sun Hao's whole body were like burning, extremely uncomfortable. Sun Hao gritted his teeth, showing a painful expression. He let this force gallop in his body, and he did not resist. These surging forces were slowly refined by Sun Hao. Chapter 609. In the sky above the battlefield, when the countdown pointed to 0, the sky suddenly shook. Buzz! Wisps of white light flew out of the ripples in the sky, entangling rapidly in the sky. In less than a moment, it condensed into a white giant. He stood in the center of the red and blue camps, like a god overlooking mortals. At this moment, as long as they were in the battlefield, they could see this white giant. Most of these people were controlled by some mysterious force, like puppets, unable to control their own bodies at all. Of course, there were also some people who were not controlled by the mysterious force. In addition to the people saved by Sun Hao, there were also Yao Jiutian, Yao Zixuan, and others. They looked at the white giant, all showing a face of excitement. The once-in-10,000 years battle is about to begin. Anyone who participates in the battle will have a point token. This point token will automatically match points according to everyone's strength. Those who survive in the end, the top 10, will have different rewards. The white giant explained each and every rule very clearly. These words seemed to be said to Yao Jiutian and the others could not move at all. After the white giant finished speaking, he stretched out his finger and pointed forward. Buzz! The world trembled. Countless points tokens formed out of thin air and flew in all directions. In the blink of an eye, it fell on top of everyone's head. Above the points token, wisps of white light flew down and enveloped everyone. 5288, a series of numbers appeared above everyone's head. The largest number actually reached tens of thousands, and Yao Jiutian was one of them. As for Ning Mingji and the others, they were hiding in the dark at the moment and were not discovered by the white giant. In other words, the white giant could not find them. It's about to start. Ning Mingji looked at the sky, his eyes revealing a touch of killing intent. Master Mingwu, this giant's strength is only at the 9th stage of the Saint Realm. With our current strength, killing him is easy. Why don't we move? Hearing this, Ning Mingji shook his head slightly. If I'm not wrong, he's just a clone of the Son of Heaven. There's no point in killing him. Now there are still many brothers who have not been rescued. When everyone rescues them all, we will move the clone of the Son of Heaven. Ning Mingji said. Okay. Everyone nodded and waited quietly. The variant war begins now. A thunderous roar rang out. The white giant's body exploded into countless strands of light, bringing all the participants to the battlefield. The scenery changed. Seeing this, the participants of the battle widened their eyes in astonishment. They saw. Kill, the sounds of battle continued to ring out. The natives of the red and blue sides had already started fighting. Saber light and sword shadows intersected continuously. The scene of flesh and blood splattering was displayed on the screen. On the ground, blood flowed like a river. It was a tragic scene that could not be described with words. However, these people did not stop. On the contrary, they rushed forward even more recklessly. The blood had completely stimulated their bestial instincts, causing them to lose all rationality. Look! A cry of surprise broke the silence. As the voice rang out, everyone's eyes turned to look behind them. When they saw the army participating in the war, their eyes lit up and they revealed expressions of excitement. The deity army is here, charge! Victory is in sight, kill them all! At this moment, these natives were all excited as if they were injected with chicken blood. Then, they stepped forward and continued to rush forward. Poochie, boom, ah, the sound of metal piercing into flesh and blood, the sound of explosions, and screams intertwined and turned into a battlefield symphony. Kill, the participants of the battle rushed forward uncontrollably. They roared loudly. Swish, all kinds of skill lights flew out from their hands and exploded on the ground, blooming beautiful fireworks. Boom, after the skill light exploded, it would definitely destroy a group of natives in the enemy camp. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere, dyeing everyone's body bright red. The blood converged into a small river, flowing slowly, and finally, it went deep into the ground and disappeared. Deep underground, there was a huge karst cave here. The blood converged into a small river and flowed into this karst cave. In the center of the karst cave, a man in a blood-red robe was sitting cross-legged. That head of red hair was particularly bright and dazzling. The blood-red robe man looked at this pool of blood, and his eyes bloomed with a strange light. Such pure life energy! However, these are just appetizers. This time, it won't be a problem to break through to the 7th level of the Holy Spirit realm. Godly cunning immortal, I hope you don't get played to death, otherwise it will be boring. The corners of the blood-red robe man's mouth rose, revealing a smug smile. Then, he closed his eyes and sucked hard. The surrounding blood-red color formed wisps of light, rushing from all directions and flowing into the mouth of the blood-red robe man. The aura of the blood-red robe man was slowly rising. On the ground, the battle continued. Tens of millions of troops, intertwined, were divided into countless small battlefields. In one of the small battlefields, Sun Wukong gritted his teeth and struggled hard. However, the mysterious force binding him was too terrifying, and for a while, it was difficult to break free at all. The mysterious force controlled him to move forward, and he retreated. This created a situation where Sun Wukong moved forward and retreated. In the end, he could only spin in place. Damn it, I, old Sun, will be controlled by you? When I, old Sun, find my own demon power, why do I need to do this? Sun Wukong's face was full of unwillingness. Swish, suddenly, a sound of breaking through the air sounded. The skill light shone heaven and earth, and it flew towards Sun Wukong. In an instant it exploded beside Sun Wukong. Boom, the ground trembled and the loud noise continued. Several men beside Sun Wukong directly exploded into blood mist. The shock wave enveloped Sun Wukong, stopping him in place. Boom! His body kept bouncing up and down on the ground, exploding a piece of dust, and it took a long time to stabilize his figure. Although he was not injured, this blow also made him disheveled. I didn't expect that I, old Sun, would have this day. It's really a tiger that falls to the plains is bullied by dogs. Sun Wukong shook his head secretly, his face full of bitterness. Suddenly, Sun Wukong raised his eyebrows, and a sense of uneasiness was written all over his face. Using all his strength, he slowly turned around, and when he saw the scene in front of him, his pupils contracted and his eyes widened. Sun Wukong's voice trembled, and his words were full of fear. He saw. In front of him stood a figure, looking at him with a smile that was not a smile. It was this figure that made Sun Wukong afraid. Chapter 6:10. Little monkey, call me Grandpa's son, and I can save you in the exam. The one standing in front of Goku was none other than the six-eared macaque. Seeing the six-eared macaque, Goku was angry and afraid. It was not the right time to meet this opponent. You call me Grandpa's son, I don't want you to save me. Goku roared. Hiss, the six-eared macaque grinned, and the sharp teeth burst out a breathtaking cold light. He took out an iron rod unhurriedly and stared coldly at Goku. Little monkey, do you know what this is? This is the Rui Jingu Bang, which is far from what your Rui Jingu Bang can compare to. This is made by the young master. Its quality has already reached the level of a top-grade artifact. If this hits your head, even if you have an immortal body, your head will crack and you will die on the spot, right? The six-eared macaque held the iron rod and waved it in front of Goku. The threat was very obvious. However, Goku was not a coward. Not only did he not admit defeat, but his attitude was extremely arrogant. 6 ears, don't show off in front of me. Can a broken iron rod break my immortal body? Come on, hit me on the head. Goku struggled to point at his head and shouted. Hiss! The six-eared macaque roared angrily. Kid, you're asking for a beating. He raised the iron rod and aimed it at Goku's head and smashed it down. The terrifying power made people's scalp numb. Sensing the irresistible power, Goku's face changed greatly. But what was done, there was no room to turn back. He could only close his eyes and wait quietly for the moment when the iron rod hit. Kacha, a loud noise shook Goku's head. His body flew out uncontrollably and fell heavily to the ground. He struggled for a long time before he stood up. He touched his head and did not touch the brain. Are you okay? Goku looked puzzled. After a while, his pupils shrank, and the color of surprise was written all over his face. At this moment, he was surprised to find that he had regained his freedom. This kid didn't kill him? Turning around, he saw the six-eared macaque holding his stomach and laughing at him. Haha, little monkey, are you scared to death by this old sun? Your fearful expression really made me laugh to death, haha. The mockery didn't have the slightest intention of stopping. Goku was not enraged. Instead, he calmly walked towards Six-Ear Macaque. Thank you. The voice was not loud, but it sounded like a pleasant surprise to the six-eared macaque. His eyes widened in disbelief. It was as if they had seen a monster. Sun Wukong, who never admits defeat, actually said thank you today? Did the sun rise from the west, or did the world collapse? After a long time, Six-Eared Macaque finally calmed down. Seeing Goku striding away, he took a step forward and hurriedly blocked his way. Little monkey, wait, I have something to say. You mustn't kill indiscriminately. We have to save as many people as possible and break the mysterious power that is binding them. I'm talking to you, did you hear me? Goku ignored Six-Ear Macaque's words and continued on his way. Enough of your nonsense. I only know how to kill monsters, I don't know how to save people. Goku said. This is the decree of Master Ming Wu, and it is also the will of the young master. As soon as these words came out, Goku stopped and looked at Six-Ear Macaque in disbelief. My master? Yes. Six-Ear Macaque nodded. Even so, I can't break that mysterious power. My current monster power is too weak. Goku said. Six-Ear Macaque smiled slightly, took out a 10-colored gem, and handed it to Goku. This is the sacred origin orb that Master Ming Wu collected in the young master's soul space. It should be useful for you. Goku took the sacred origin orb, and his eyes were shining. Without any hesitation, Goku swallowed it. Kacha, the sound of the realm barrier breaking kept ringing. Soon, Goku's strength reached the 8th stage of the Saint Realm. He stood in place, showing a face of excitement. Save people, right? I, old son, am coming. Goku stepped out and instantly appeared in midair. With a blink of his eyes, 2 rays of divine light shot out, directly scanning the world. The slightest trace of a mysterious force was seen by him. The Rui Jingu Bang was held in Goku's hand, and a ray of red light lit up on it. Goku pointed with his right hand. The Rui Jingu Bang grew rapidly, lying between heaven and earth, and quickly rolled forward. Boom, wherever it went, the mysterious power that shrouded everyone's body would be broken. At this moment, the controlled contestants regained their freedom. When they looked up and saw Goku, they showed a grateful look. Thank you for saving my life. They bowed and saluted Goku. No need to be so polite. Remember, this is a conspiracy of the Son of Heaven. You are cannon fodder. After being killed, you will become an energy for the Son of Heaven to enhance his strength. Now, what you need to do is to stop this war as much as possible and let the fewer people die, the better. Do you understand? Goku stood in the sky, looking at the crowd and said, Yes, my lord. After Goku's guidance, everyone instantly understood. They bowed to show their respect. This lord is really kind-hearted. This kind of heart really makes me feel ashamed. Let's go and save the people. Let's go and save the natives. One by one, they stepped forward and rushed to the other battlefields. After the crowd left, 6-eared macaque flew over and landed in front of Goku. Monkey, not bad. 6-eared macaque praised. Of course. Do you think that I, old son, only know how to fight and kill? Goku crossed his arms and raised his head proudly. I gave you some color and you want to start a dye shop? 6-eared macaque said. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. I, old son, am going to continue to save people. After saying that, Goku took a step, turned into a long rainbow, and disappeared into the sky. 6-eared macaque looked at this scene, the corner of his mouth slightly raised, and he nodded from time to time. I'm going to save people too. His idea is not bad. Otherwise, how can we save so many people with just the few of us? 6-eared macaque said, looked in a direction, and flew there quickly. Soon, he came to a small battlefield. Without any hesitation, he took out the iron rod. With a thought, the iron rod turned into a huge pillar that could hold up the sky, and it stood between heaven and earth. Go, 6-eared macaque pointed with his right hand. The iron rod quickly rolled. Wherever it went, the mysterious power that enveloped everyone's body was completely shattered. Chapter 6:11. Inyu was like a puppet, controlled by a mysterious force, walking forward slowly. Like a puppet, Inyu was controlled by a mysterious force and slowly walked forward. She only needed to raise her claws to tear a native. Although she was very reluctant, her body did not listen to her commands at all. Above her head, the number displayed was 10,000. The number displayed above her head was 10,000. At this time, a cry of surprise sounded. This sound attracted the attention of many people on the blue side. Among them, there was Yao Zishuan. She hid in the crowd and looked at Inyu quietly, the light on her face changing. Princess, if you can kill this 10,000 points, it will not be a problem to surpass the king. Princess, if you can kill this person with 10,000 points, I believe it won't be a problem for you to surpass the king. Princess, if you can kill this 10,000 points, it will not be a problem to surpass the king. Beside Yao Zishuan, a woman said. Yao Zishuan listened to this and nodded slightly, but did not act. Don't worry, let's watch for a while. Yes, princess. The woman also followed Yao Zishuan's gaze. Soon, she also found some clues, and her eyes couldn't help but bloom with a strange light. Young master, she is really controlled. This is a great opportunity to kill her. If the king sees it, you won't have a chance. Don't wait, let's do it together, the woman said. These words, like a death warrant, Yao Zishuan could no longer calm down. She nodded slightly. Give the order, let's do it. As soon as these words came out, swish, around her, men and women with surging auras flashed across the battlefield. Soon, they arrived in front of Yu and wrapped her up. Looking at these people in front of him, Yu frowned, revealing a dignified expression. These people, each of them, although only reached the second stage of the Saint Realm. However, he was now being controlled, and it was impossible to exert his full strength. It was already good to be able to exert 1 point. Not good. Yu thought it was not good. His body did not retreat, but rushed forward as fast as lightning toward a man. However, this man seemed to be able to discover what Yu was thinking, and his body quickly retreated, narrowly avoiding Yu's fatal move. Ding! A sound of metal clashing rang out. Yu retreated and was hit by several people, bursting out a burst of metal clashing sounds. Several shallow bloodstains covered Yu's back. Yu gritted his teeth, following the direction of the mysterious force, and quickly attacked his back. Bang! His fist was like a mountain as it landed on a man's body. Bang! The man flew backward and landed heavily on the ground, coughing up blood. However, Yu's back was once again left with many bloodstains. Ding, boom, bang! In this way, Yu used the method of exchanging injury for injury and fought with them. Not long after, Yu finally killed a man. Her body was also riddled with scars. The blood had already dyed his clothes red. She panted heavily and looked at the crowd coldly. Suddenly, Yu raised his eyebrows, and a sense of fatal crisis shrouded his heart. She dodged with all her might. However, it was still too late. Pu-sia, the sound of metal-piercing flesh rang out. A sharp claw with a cold light directly buckled into Yu's thigh, and a piece of flesh was torn off. Immediately, blood flowed like a fountain. It was a horrible sight to behold. Yu fell to the ground and looked at the woman with sharp claws in front of him. He couldn't help but exclaim, "It's you." That's right. It's me. The person that had arrived was none other than Yao Zishuan. She looked at Yu with a smile, revealing an expression of being in control of everything. Yen Luan Emperor, you didn't expect that you would have such a day. If you didn't attack the Son of Heaven, you wouldn't have been controlled, right? You wouldn't have been killed by a villain like me. Yao Zishuan said with a smile. You think you can kill me? Yu said angrily. He, whether I can kill or not, it's not just by talking. It's by strength. Speaking of this, Yao Zishuan's aura changed, revealing a cold expression. Go! A loud shout. More than a dozen people rushed towards Yu together. No matter how strong Yu was, he was restrained at the moment, and it was difficult to take care of both sides. In less than a moment, Yu's body was riddled with scars, and each wound was deep enough to see the bone. It was simply indescribable. Even if she was an ancient demon beast, after losing almost all of her blood, she was powerless. Yu fell to the ground with a pale face. She looked at Yao Zishuan, revealing a look of unwillingness. 2 lines of tears slowly fell from the corners of her eyes. Master, I'm sorry, I'm useless. In the future, I'll rely on you. Yu muttered to herself, her face full of despair. Seeing the change in Yu's face, Yao Zishuan revealed a happy smile. I didn't expect that the dignified monarch would actually cry. This seat is soft-hearted and specially gave you a chance. Say, what other last words do you have? Yao Zishuan said. Yu smiled coldly and did not say anything. Looks like you're done. Since that's the case, then go to hell. Yao Zishuan waved her right hand, instantly turning into a sharp claw shining with a cold light. Without any hesitation, she aimed at Yu's head and grabbed down. Gotcha! Wherever the sharp claw went, the space shattered inch by inch. The terrifying power was about to hit Inyu's head. At this time, a laugh sounded. At this moment, the palm that was falling towards Inyu's head was frozen in place. Yao Zishuan's strength was exhausted, the veins on her forehead bulged, and beads of sweat rolled down. Who is it? Yao Zishuan's gaze swept around and shouted loudly. However, no one responded to her. Gotcha! The sound of an eggshell cracking rang out. The power that bound Inyu's body cracked in response. At this moment, Inyu recovered. A stream of 10-colored Saint Chi circled around Inyu. The injuries on Inyu's body recovered at a visible speed. Senior Inyu, I will leave them to you, don't rush to kill them. The young master has ordered to save everyone first. Two voices went straight into Inyu's ears. Hearing this, Inyu nodded slightly, indicating that he heard it. Saint Chi? Seeing the Saint Chi on Inyu's body, Yao Zishuan's pupils shrank, and greed was written all over her face. Wasn't it for the Saint Chi that she was willing to die, desperate? And at this moment she actually had so much Saint Chi on her body? It was really wearing out iron shoes in vain, it was really God helping me. Yao Zishuan looked at the Saint Chi on Inyu's body, and her face showed uncontrollable surprise. Her whole body was trembling slightly with excitement. That appearance was as if she had obtained the ultimate treasure, which was simply indescribable. Swish, without any hesitation, Yao Zishuan went straight to Inyu. P.S. Asking for monthly votes. Chapter 6:12. Closer, even closer. She was about to touch the Saint Essence Chi. If she could grasp the Saint Essence Chi in front of her, after devouring it, it would not be a problem for her to break through a few realms. The corner of Yao Zishuan's mouth rose, revealing a smug look. Without any accident, Yao Zishuan pounced on the Saint Essence Chi. It was also at this time a terrifying force enveloped Yao Zishuan's body. Suddenly, it blasted her out. Boom! Yao Zishuan fell heavily to the ground, vomiting blood. She struggled for a long time, but could not stand up. She looked at the Saint Essence Chi and kept shaking her head. This is impossible. How can this Saint Essence Chi have consciousness? Yao Zishuan's face was full of bitterness. She could only watch the Saint Essence Chi get thinner and thinner, and she was powerless to do anything. Suddenly, Yao Zishuan raised her eyebrows, and uneasiness was written all over her face. After being helped up by others, she hurriedly said, "Quick, take me away from here." However, just as she finished speaking, buzz, the sky shook. A terrifying force enveloped them. Weren't you happy bullying this seat just now? Want to escape now? How can it be so easy? The two sounds were not loud, but like a demonic voice from hell, Yao Zishuan and the others' faces changed drastically. What do you want to do? Yao Zishuan looked at Inyu, who was walking towards her step by step, and her voice trembled. What do I want to do? A transparent slap directly slapped Yao Zishuan's face, directly stunning her. Before she could react, one slap after another landed on Yao Zishuan's face. Soon, Yao Zishuan's entire face was swollen, extremely ugly. She was slapped until she had no temper at all. She hung her head and remained motionless. As for her subordinates, they had long been paralyzed on the ground, shivering. I'll spare your lives. Inyu coldly snorted, waved his right hand, and instantly imprisoned everyone, moving with his body. Save people? Inyu muttered to himself, his face becoming more and more firm. Since it's young master's idea, it must be right. After saying that, Inyu took a step and followed Yao Zishuan and the others, instantly disappearing in place. Such scenes were happening all around the alien battlefield. Those who came from the demon ancestral realm to participate in the battle were all rescued. As for the natives, they were confined in place, unable to continue participating in the battle. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye 3 days had passed. Tens of millions of natives were imprisoned in a huge square. Howl, roar, They were like wild beasts, struggling madly and letting out earth-shattering roars from time to time. He aimed at the enemy camp around him, filled with hostility and killing intent. However, they could not break free. Above the square, hundreds of thousands of people stood in the sky. Most of these people were from the demon ancestral realm who came to participate in the battle. Each of their faces was filled with the joy of surviving a disaster, staring at Ningmingji and the others excitedly. It turns out that the variant war was a conspiracy. How unexpected! I thought we were dead for sure. All of this is thanks to Master Enlightened. I heard that Master Mingwu was also instructed by a young master to come and save us. What? There's actually someone behind an existence like Grandmaster Mingwu? That's right, this young master's methods are extraordinary. In this world, there is such a person, I really want to meet him. The sound of discussion continued. For these voices, Ningmingji and the others did not care. At this moment, they sat around and began to discuss. Master Mingwu, the minds of these natives are controlled, and we have exhausted our methods, but we can't save them. Yes, Master Mingwu, it's not a way to keep imprisoning them like this. What the hell should we do? Ningmingji was like the backbone of everyone, and everyone's eyes were fixed on him. Ningmingji frowned and thought. After a while, they all raised their eyebrows and seemed to have thought of some countermeasures. Yes, the young master's Heart Sutra can save them, Ningmingji said. Heart Sutra, Master Mingwu, what should we do? We will listen to you. Ningmingji smiled slightly and said, Everyone, listen to me, chant the Heart Sutra together with me. This sound like a thunderclap blasted in everyone's mind. Everyone came back to their senses and sat down cross-legged with Ningmingji. Sarira, under the leadership of Ningmingji, everyone chanted the words. Scriptures flew out of their mouths and whizzed towards Ningmingji. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped the whole world and it disappeared. These scriptures piled up rapidly. In less than a moment, it formed an indescribable giant. On the giant's body, hundreds of millions of strands of golden light whistled down from him, enveloping every god in the square. Their voices, which were originally roaring loudly, gradually disappeared. Their whole state became incomparably peaceful. Soon, they recovered their senses and looked around blankly. Why are we here? What's going on? I seem to have killed a lot of people. Is it a dream? It's not a dream, it's real. It seems that someone saved us. Looking up, everyone saw the incomparably tall giant Buddha, and suddenly their hearts trembled, showing a pious look. It turned out that the Buddha saved us. One by one, they knelt down. Facing the giant Buddha, they kowtowed and saluted. The giant Buddha opened his eyes and glanced at the crowd. You lost your mind. It was the young master who ordered this seat to save you. Not long ago, the giant Buddha said one sentence at a time. Every sentence, like the mantra of the great Tao, went straight into everyone's mind. They listened to this and couldn't help but secretly nodded. Young master? What kind of existence is it? It can actually send the Buddha to save us. I'm afraid it's an unimaginable existence. It's really admirable. This kind of existence actually has such kindness. Its mind is really unimaginable. The sound of worship, wave after wave. For a while, it couldn't stop at all. Ningmingji looked at this scene, smiled and nodded. With a wave of his right hand, the giant Buddha's body exploded, turning into strands of pure energy, like the Milky Way pouring down, enveloping everyone. These gods' physical body, realm, state of mind, they were improving rapidly. Kacha, the sound of the realm membrane bursting kept ringing. It took a long time to calm down. Half a day later, everyone opened their eyes, revealing a face of joy. I broke through, I actually became a god emperor. Incredible, unimaginable, the Buddha has such ability. What about the young master? What kind of existence is he? Yeah, I'm afraid it's unimaginable. I really look forward to the moment when I see the young master. Chapter 6:13. Above the void. A transparent figure slowly condensed. This figure looked rough, with a long red beard covering his entire face. He looked at everything below and shook his head slightly. Hey, what should I do? Destroying the good things of the Son of Heaven, they will definitely end up with their souls scattered. What does this matter have to do with me? It's better to stay out of this kind of business. Stay out of it? You have lived for countless years. Is it interesting to live like this? Could it be that I died and sacrificed myself for them? Then what's the point of doing this? Two voices kept fighting in the mind of the red-bearded man, and for a while, they couldn't win at all. The red-bearded man's body gradually disappeared, as if he had never appeared. Below. The fierce discussion continued. Waves of worship swept toward Ning Mingji and the others. Under Ning Mingji's constant waving of his hand, the surroundings gradually calmed down. If there is a chance, everyone will see the young master. The plan now is for everyone to survive, or become part of the Son of Heaven's strength. Everyone, don't just stand there, leave here with me. After speaking, Ning Mingji stretched out his palm and blasted forward. Buzz, a huge teleportation vortex appeared in the sky. Ning Mingji took a step forward and was about to step into the teleportation vortex. Hee, a cold laugh sounded. Kacha, a huge crack cracked on the teleportation vortex. Immediately afterward, boom, with an explosion, the teleportation vortex burst open and disappeared. Such a scene directly startled Ning Mingji. He narrowed his eyes and looked up at the sky. His pupils shrank and his face changed slightly. Only to see, in the sky, wisps of white light quickly condensed and formed. In the blink of an eye, it formed a white giant with a height of 10,000 meters. The aura of the 9th stage of the Saint Realm rushed up from the white giant, whistling in all directions. Kacha, the terrifying pressure seemed to be able to break the spine, bursting out with the sound of joints cracking. The natives all knelt on the ground, looking up at the white giant, and their faces changed dramatically. That's the Son of Heaven! What? The Son of Heaven has arrived? It's over, it's over. What should we do? The sound of despair resounded throughout the world. Many of them knelt on the ground and put their palms together, begging for mercy. Son of the Heavenly Tao, please spare this lowly one's life. We are following your orders. Son of the Heavenly Tao, I was wrong. Please forgive me and forgive me. Begging for mercy sounded continuously. The white giant watched this with a cold smile on his face. Hee. Isn't it too late to beg for mercy now? That's right, he's right. The white giant pointed to Ning Mingji and said, Ants like you should feel honored to be able to turn into this king's power. I didn't want to make a move against you, but there's no other way. Today, all of you shall receive the baptism of my supreme holy light. After saying that, the white giant roared into the sky. Howl, a beam of white light shot out from the white giant's mouth. The surroundings seemed to have darkened. In the sky, there was only this white pillar of light. In other words, the white pillar of light was so bright that it suppressed all the light in the surroundings. Buzz, the white light exploded in the sky, turning into strands of white light. Like rain, it directly whistled down. Looking at it, tens of millions of natives were about to be bombarded into flesh and blood. At this time, Buzz, there was a shock. Above the natives, a layer of white barrier suddenly floated up, preventing the white light from falling. All the light was quickly annihilated. Seeing such a scene, there was a trace of disbelief in the eyes of the white giant. How is this possible? A little ant can stop me? The words just fell. Swish, a sound of breaking through the air sounded. The white giant's scalp exploded and cold sweat flowed. Turning around and looking back, his face changed drastically, and a fatal crisis enveloped his heart. He saw that Sun Wukong was waving the Rui Jingu Bang and smashing it down at the white giant. The Rui Jingu Bang was like a large pillar holding up the sky, bigger than the white giant's head. The terrifying power made the white giant's scalp numb. "Eat my old son's stick." With a loud roar, the golden cudgel arrived quickly. Not good. The white giant's face changed drastically, and he quickly used his body technique. However, it was too late. Boom, the world trembled, and the sun and moon lost their light. Boundless waves of air whistled in all directions. The terrifying power made people's scalp numb, and cold sweat flowed. Boom, the white giant's head exploded, bursting into countless white lights, splashing in all directions. These white lights quickly merged, and soon, they condensed into the appearance of the white giant. However, this figure's aura and size were much weaker than the previous one. Damn it! On the white giant's face, there was a touch of fear, and he looked at Sun Wukong with a look of fear. In his eyes, Sun Wukong was the existence that made him afraid. However, swish, another sound of breaking through the air sounded. Looking back, his pupils shrank again, and his face changed dramatically. Only to see. The six-eared macaque appeared behind the white giant, waving the iron stick, aiming at his head and smashing it over. The terrifying power was not weaker than that of Sun Wukong's swing. Boom, without any accident, the iron stick directly hit the white giant's head, bursting out with a shocking roar. Immediately afterward, the white giant's body exploded into countless threads of light and fled quickly. Infinite true fire. Inu suddenly appeared, transformed into its original body, and aimed at the white giant, and opened its bloody mouth. Countless crimson flames spewed out. No, a roar of unwillingness resounded through the world. Soon, the crimson flames enveloped all the white light thread. Around there was only the sound of burning. All the white light threads were burned clean and nothing was left. At this point, the white giant was completely dead. Such a scene strongly stimulated everyone's nerves. They stared blankly at this scene, and for a while, they did not come back to their senses. Their eyes swept from Sun Wukong to six-eared macaque, and then back to Inu. The light of worship flashed on the faces of these natives. Six-eared, well done. Sun Wukong looked at six-eared macaque and nodded in praise. You did a good job too. Six-eared macaque looked at Sun Wukong with a bright face. And this old man? Inu said. Sun Wukong and six-eared macaque looked at each other and smiled. Senior Inu, your strength is obvious to all, and we admire you very much. Yes, Senior Inu, you are really powerful. Hearing this, Inu showed a smile and nodded with satisfaction. You really know how to talk, not bad. The three quickly flew back to the team. Buzz, the world trembled, and a sudden change occurred. Chapter 6:14. Oh my God, the Son of Heaven was killed just like that? If I didn't see it with my own eyes, who would dare to believe it? It's terrible. They killed him so easily, then their strength, didn't they also reach the 9th stage of the Saint Realm? If this is the case, doesn't that young master have reached the Holy Spirit realm? I regret it, I just beg the Son of Heaven for mercy, I really don't want to live in this world. God, please give me a crack in the ground, let me get into it. The natives looked at the sky, and the light of worship flickered. Hearing these words, Inu and the other two raised the corners of their mouths and walked unhurriedly to Ningmingji's team. When the three were about to speak, Buzz, the world trembled and a sudden change occurred. Ripples appeared in the sky all around. In each ripple, there were countless white threads of light dancing. These threads of light, quickly entangled and stacked, soon turned into a white giant with a terrible aura. At a glance, it was densely packed, and it was unknown how many there were. These white giants were all the clones of the Son of Heaven. Such a scene, in the eyes of everyone, all of their faces changed dramatically, and their faces were full of fear. There are so many children of heaven. Legend has it that the Son of Heaven has countless clones, and now it seems that it is not wrong at all. Oh my God, this is really over. A group of natives looked at this scene, and their faces changed dramatically, and their faces were full of despair. You ants dare to fight against the heavens. Today I will let you see that the heavens cannot be disobeyed. It is a supreme honor for you to become a part of this seat's strength. Give me your life. Tens of thousands of white giants, spitting out the human language at the same time. The sound was like the thunder of the ninth heaven, making everyone's heart tremble. When Ningmingji saw this scene, his face changed slightly. He roared, "Get into formation!" This sound. The people standing around him moved in unison. No one dared to relax at the slightest, and at the same time, they made gestures with their hands and muttered. Wisps of multicolored light flew out of their bodies and quickly gathered together. In less than a moment, a colorful shield was formed, covering everyone above. Overestimating yourself. Tens of thousands of white giants snorted coldly, and at the same time, they made gestures with their hands and began to mobilize the power in their bodies. Hundreds of millions of white threads of light rushed up from their bodies. It took shape in the sky. Soon, a white pillar of light that was tens of thousands of meters tall was formed. A destructive power erupted from the light pillar, causing people's hearts to tremble and cold sweat to pour down their back. Boom, as expected, an earth-shattering explosion erupted as the white pillar of light crashed into the multicolored barrier. Cracks appeared on the 10-colored barrier, spreading out in a spiderweb pattern. Seeing this in Ningmingji's eyes, his face could not help but change drastically. Not good, we can't hold on. Everyone fight on their own. Save as many people as you can. Ningmingji roared. Yes. Everyone nodded in unison as they waited for the white pillar to strike down again. Boom, there was another loud noise. The multicolored barrier instantly exploded. Swish, Ningmingji led everyone and moved at the same time. Phew, they waved their right hands, and rays of light rushed out and enveloped everyone. These light shields moved as fast as lightning, rapidly enveloping the people below. Each of them brought tens of thousands of people and soared into the sky. Like a celestial maiden scattering flowers, they scattered in all directions. Trying to escape? The white giants spoke at the same time, and all of their faces revealed a cold smile. Their thoughts move. Buzz, the sky trembled, and the white pillar directly exploded, turning into a layer of light curtain, enveloping everyone in it. Boom! Anyone who bumped into the light screen would feel dizzy from the impact and hurriedly stabilize their bodies. Ants, accept the punishment of heaven. Becoming the power of this seat is your supreme glory. Die for me. The sound was like thunder, echoing in the white light curtain. With this sound, a white palm condensed and formed. Above the white palm, a bolt of lightning jumped on it, bursting out a frightening power. Swish, the white palms moved in unison, flying around in the light curtain without any rules. Ningmingji and the others quickly dodged. However, there were always people who couldn't hide. Xianyuan hid in a dead corner. No matter which direction he fled in, he would encounter a white palm. His face was struggling. At the moment when he was stunned. Boom, 6 slaps came from 6 different directions and landed on his body at once. No, the tens of thousands of people brought by Xianyuan all let out an unwilling roar. However, there was no accident. Boom, their bodies directly exploded into a bloody mist. Like a rain of blood, it converged into a river of blood and hid in the ground. Boom! Xianyuan Yi's body flew backward and hit the light curtain heavily, vomiting blood. He stood in place with a pale face, showing a look of shame. The white palm seemed to be conscious. It did not continue to attack him, but attacked the other people with the Aborigines. Boom! There was another explosion. Mu Bing was bombarded to vomit blood. The tens of thousands of Aborigines she brought also died tragically, turning into a bloody mist and falling to the ground. Boom! The sound of explosions rang out from time to time. Every time it sounded, tens of thousands of people were bombarded into a bloody mist. Seeing this scene, the white giant revealed a playful expression. Ants, run. Do your best to run. In front of this great formation, no matter how powerful your means are, it's useless. The more you scream, the more excited this seed is. Tens of thousands of white giants spat out the human language, complacency written all over their faces. Every time he smashed tens of thousands of people, the white giant would shout excitedly. His insolent appearance could not be described in words. "Young master, I'm sorry, Minwu has failed you." Every time tens of thousands of people died, Ning Mingji was heartbroken, and at the same time, he blamed himself. However, no matter what he did, he could not break the white shield. They were like caged birds, and sooner or later they would be caught. Above the void, a phantom slowly condensed and formed. This phantom had a fiery red beard on his face. He was the red-bearded man from before. He looked at everything below, and his face changed indefinitely. "No, this old man can't make a move. Otherwise, the Son of Heaven will definitely find me. If you don't make a move now, when will you? Those are your people. Being harvested like this once in 10,000 years, how can you bear it? Are you worthy of being the ancestor? Living is more important than anything. If you make a move like this, you will definitely die." "Bah! Coward, I didn't expect that there would be a coward like you, it's really shameful." Two kinds of voices kept intertwining in his mind. For a while there was no winner at all. And below, the game of cat and mouse was continuing. Chapter 6:15. "Hey, if I die, I die. It's worth it even if my soul is destroyed," the red-bearded man muttered to himself, showing a determined look. Buzz! He moved his mind and turned into a red giant with a height of 10,000 meters. His whole body was burning with crimson flames. The aura of destruction kept surging on his body. The appearance of the red giant stunned everyone in place and stopped moving. Even tens of thousands of white giants were looking at the red giant with a solemn face at the moment. "Who are you? Do you want to destroy my good deeds?" The white giant pointed at the red-bearded man and shouted angrily. However, the red-bearded man was unmoved, the corner of his mouth raised, and the cold, killing intent flashed in his eyes. Buzz! As soon as his eyes opened, a crimson flame spewed out. Aiming at one of the white giants, it blasted over. The flame rushed up on the white giant and burned quickly. Ah! A shrill scream resounded through the world. Under this flame, the white giant was burned to ashes in less than a moment. Such a scene strongly stimulated the eyes of one of the white giant. Disbelief was written all over everyone's face. They looked at the red-bearded man with a look of fear. Holy Spirit, it turned out to be a Holy Spirit. These words fell into the ears of the white giants like thunder. They looked at the red-bearded man, revealing a look of fear. "Who are you? Why do you want to attack us? Aren't you afraid?" Before the words fell, swish, a red flame, as fast as lightning, directly hit the white giant who spoke. Immediately, the white giant's whole body burned with raging flames. Ah! The shrill scream, like the howl of hell, made people's hair stand on end. In less than a moment, the white giant turned into ashes again. Swish! Without waiting for the white giant to react, the red-bearded man's eyes kept sweeping over them. Anyone who was swept by the red-bearded man's eyes would be burned into ashes. Ah! Like wheat, the white giant fell to the ground. In less than a moment, more than half of them died. At this time, boom! The white light curtain, no longer able to hold on, directly burst open. "Eat my stick!" Goku strode forward and instantly appeared in front of a white giant. He lifted the Jingu Bang and smashed it down. The white giant was still in a state of shock, unable to react at all. Even though it was blasted into nothingness, it did not recover. "Eat my hammer!" The Thunder Tribulation giant waved the sky-covering thunder hammer, aimed at a white giant and blasted it down. Boom! Thunder and lightning exploded, directly blasting the white giant into smithereens, disappearing on the spot. Under the leadership of Ning Mingji, everyone began to counterattack. The white giant ran like a stray dog. However, the red-bearded man would definitely take special care of those who escaped. Bang! With a single sweep of his gaze, they would be burned to ashes and die a miserable death on the spot. The entire scene was a complete massacre. Bang! The white giants continued to fall. An hour later, all the white giants exploded into dust and disappeared without a trace. The whole place was dead silent. The people of the demon ancestral realm and the natives who participated in the battle stood rooted to the ground like fools, dumbfounded. It was a long time. Only then did they regain some of their composure. Dead, they're all dead. So many clones of the son of the heavenly Tao died just like that? Dream on, is this a dream? Ouch, it hurts. Who is that? Why can he spit out such a terrifying flame? He is probably the legendary demon ancestor Li Hua. As soon as these words came out, there was another dead silence. Everyone stared at the red-bearded man, and waves of admiration swept across. This red-bearded man was none other than the demon ancestor Li Hua. Ning Mingji looked at the demon ancestor Li Hua with a look of awe. He looked back at everyone, waved his hand, and everyone followed. Thank you for saving my life, Senior Li Hua. Under the leadership of Ning Mingji, everyone cupped their fists and bowed respectfully. This sound awakened the demon ancestor Li Hua. He looked at the crowd and nodded slightly. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something, looked at the crowd and shouted, "Quick, run! The son of the heavenly Tao is coming. If you don't run now, it will be too late." The demon ancestor Li Hua's voice was like thunder, causing everyone's face to change drastically. Everyone nodded in unison and began to move. However, a cold laughter rang out. In the sky, a man with a blood-red body suddenly appeared. He was wearing a blood-red robe and had fiery red hair on his head. He looked as red as a flaming bird. This person was none other than the son of the heavenly Tao that the demon ancestor Li Hua mentioned. At the same time, he also had another identity, and that was Lai Shang. The corners of his mouth curled up in a 50-degree angle. His gaze was fixed on the demon ancestor Li Hua, revealing an expression of controlling everything. Li Hua, I've been looking for you for decades. I didn't expect you to jump out on your own. It's really a case of wearing out iron shoes in fruitless search, but finding it without any effort. Since you've given me your strength, I can consider giving you a quick death. Tell me, what kind of death do you want? Lai Shang said each sentence, and his expression was like a king who controlled everything. Su Yiling and the others looked at Lai Shang, and their expressions changed slightly. It's him. What him? Of course, there were also people in the crowd who didn't know Lai Shang. Su Yiling told the situation of dealing with Lai Shang before. After that, Su Yiling showed an apologetic look. It's all our fault. If we didn't let him run away, there wouldn't be all this today. When Ning Mingji heard this, he shook his head slightly. That's not necessarily true. Even if it's not this Lai Shang, I'm afraid it will be another Lai Shang. What should we do now? Su Yiling asked. There's no other way. Ning Mingji shook his head slightly. The son of the heavenly Tao is at least a sacred spirit. Judging from his appearance, I don't think he's an ordinary saint spirit. It's very likely that he's already reached stage 2 or stage 3 saint spirit realm. Ning Mingji said. What? When everyone heard this, their expressions changed drastically. After reaching the saint spirit realm, one's strength would increase by several folds with every increase in level. There was simply no way to challenge someone of a higher level. On the other hand, the aura of the Li Fire demonic ancestor seemed to be only in the first layer of the Holy Spirit realm, far from being Lai Shang's match. He was afraid that even if the young master came, he would not be Lai Shang's opponent. Thinking of this, everyone's expression changed slightly, and despair shrouded everyone's hearts. Young master, please don't come. Young master, you must hide well. As long as you live, we will have hope of resurrection. Everyone muttered to themselves and prayed secretly. Hee. Suddenly, a burst of laughter woke everyone up. A sharp gaze swept directly on them. Don't worry, wait for this seat to swallow Li Hua first, then I'll swallow you all. You are all the source of energy for this seat. Chapter 6:16. Boom, the earth shook and the sky shook. Demon Ancestor Li Hua and Lai Shang were fighting in the sky, and layers of shock waves kept roaring in all directions. The terrifying power made one's scalp tingle. Everyone looked up at the sky and wiped their cold sweat from time to time. It's too terrifying. If I stood in front of this aftermath, I would definitely be blasted into pieces. Is this a battle between holy spirits? It's too terrifying. Exclamations kept ringing out. Everyone looked up at the battle in the sky, motionless. It wasn't that they didn't want to move, but that they didn't dare to move. They could all sense a pair of eyes sweeping over them. As long as they moved, they would be locked on and then blasted into pieces, becoming a part of Lai Shang's power. Li Hua, didn't you eat? Weak, too weak. Are you still a holy spirit? I think you're just a weak chicken. Lai Shang had one hand behind his back and gently waved one hand, making Demon Ancestor Li Hua unable to resist. When such words reached Demon Ancestor Li Hua's ears, anger spiraled in his chest. His face turned red and his eyes stared at Lai Shang. I really don't understand. You're a golden crow with the law of devouring. Why do you want to be a lackey? Today, even if I die, I won't let you have an easy time. After saying that, Demon Ancestor Li Hua roared. Howl, as this roar sounded, Demon Ancestor Li Hua's aura rapidly increased. Soon, he had the aura of a second-level Holy Spirit realm. Whoosh, the flames turned into sharp arrows and flew toward Lai Shang. Whoosh, the sound of breaking air kept ringing. The rain of flames, in the blink of an eye, completely enveloped Lai Shang. Seeing this scene, Lai Shang's eyes lit up. Whoosh, Lai Shang opened his bloody mouth, aimed at the rain of flames, and began to devour. Devour for me. A phantom of the devouring beast slowly condensed behind Lai Shang. The rain of flames aimed at Lai Shang's mouth and flew quickly. You don't want to live. Demon Ancestor Li Hua's expression changed drastically when he saw this scene. His flame was Li Fire, which had an incomparably terrifying destructive power. If an ordinary Holy Spirit touched it, there would only be one result, and that was ashes. If he swallowed his Li Fire into his stomach, he would basically die without a doubt. No matter how strong the son of the heavenly Tao was, he would definitely die at this moment. However, in the next second, the Li Hua demon ancestor's face was filled with shock and disbelief. He saw that the Li Fire that he had released was completely devoured. As for Lai Shang, he was completely fine. Not bad. The taste is not bad. This seat strength has increased a little again. Continue, release your ultimate move. Lai Shang smiled proudly and walked toward the Li Fire demonic forefather. The Li Fire demonic forefather's voice trembled as he pointed at Lai Shang. Have you reached the 5th level of the Saint Spirit realm? As soon as these words came out, the surroundings were deathly silent. Despair was written all over their faces. The 5th level of the Saint Spirit realm had no hope of winning at all. From the looks of it, all of them would have to die here today. Li Hua, you have good eyes. Show me what you've got. Otherwise, I'm going to attack. Lai Shang looked at the Li Hua demonic ancestor with a cruel smile. I'll fight you to the death. The Li Hua demonic ancestor roared again. The flames on his body surged up. Above his head, it quickly condensed into a fireball. Whoosh, the fireball was getting brighter and brighter, and the dazzling light made people unable to breathe. The surrounding space was burned and distorted by this heat wave. The terrifying power of destruction made people's scalp tingle. Lai Shang's face also changed slightly when he saw this scene. He revealed a cautious look, and there was a hint of excitement hidden in his caution. Come on. He waited quietly. Go. the Li Hua demonic ancestor let out a roar. This huge fireball, with the power of destruction, quickly rushed towards Lai Shang. Crack, wherever it went, the space was directly melted and burst into pieces. Seeing this scene, Lai Shang opened his bloody mouth and sucked hard again. Whoosh, the huge fireball quickly shrank and quickly flew into Lai Shang's mouth. Crack, Lai Shang burped as if he was full. On his body, a dazzling flame lit up, burning his body. In just an instant, Lai Shang turned into a man of fire, sitting cross-legged on the ground. Whoosh, the aura on his body was growing rapidly. Everyone stared blankly at this scene, revealing a look of shock. That expression was indescribable in words. The Li Hua demonic ancestor's expression changed when he saw this scene. His heart beat violently, and a wave of uneasiness was written all over his face. A moment later, crack, the sound of the realm barrier breaking rang out. At this moment, Lai Shang broke through and reached the 6th level of the Holy Spirit realm. Plop, the Li Hua demonic ancestor half knelt on the ground, revealing a decadent look. The originally fiery red beard instantly turned white. His face was pale, and despair was written all over his face. Buzz, Lai Shang opened his eyes, and a terrifying aura surged out, shrouding in all directions. The corners of his mouth rose, and a look of pride was written all over his face. The 6th level of the Holy Spirit realm, not bad, not bad. When I devour everyone, I think it won't be a problem to reach the 8th level of the Holy Spirit realm. All of this is thanks to you. Lai Shang stepped in front of the Li Hua demonic ancestor and grabbed his collar. In order to express my gratitude to you, I'll give you a quick death. After saying that, Lai Shang stretched out his fist, aimed at the head of the Li Hua demonic ancestor, and blasted it. The Li Hua demonic ancestor's whole body was devoid of blood, just standing there like a wooden chicken, letting Lai Shang attack. No, don't, everyone shouted when they saw this scene. However, how could they stop it? Boom, there was an explosion. The head of the Li Hua demonic ancestor directly burst open. Huff! A wisp of flame whizzed past his body, instantly burning him into powder. When the wind blew, nothing was left. Fight! Ning Mingji roared, transformed into his original form, opened his bloody mouth, aimed at Lai Shang, and bit down. Die for me. Eat my stick. My sword attack. Everyone used their trump cards, aimed at Lai Shang and blasted over. However, it was useless. Lai Shang just waved his right hand, and all the power disappeared completely. Not bad, not bad, your strength is beyond my expectations. I will devour you well, and there will be no waste at all, you can rest assured. After saying that, Lai Shang waved his right hand. Whoosh, hundreds of millions of threads formed by red flames quickly entangled everyone. In the blink of an eye, everyone was tied up like a dumpling, and no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't break free. It seems that the godly cunning immortal is not here? Lai Shang's gaze swept as if he had discovered some new continent. Chapter 6:17. The godly cunning immortal is not here. Killing them like this is not interesting at all. I want to devour them clean in front of the godly cunning immortal. This should be very interesting. Lai Shang said one sentence at a time, his face full of pride. Phew! He released his divine sense and enveloped the entire battlefield. However, after scanning for a long time, he did not find any trace of Sun Hao. Not here? Could he have already left? Impossible. This battlefield is under my control. There are no loopholes. If he leaves, I will definitely know. Could it be that he has some sort of concealment technique that even I am unable to sense? Since that's the case, I'll see how long you can hide. The corner of his lips curled up. He sat in the air, closed his eyes, and waited quietly. Time passed slowly. Soon, several days had passed. Lai Shang opened his eyes, his face showing a touch of puzzlement. It's been 8 days. Could it be that the godly cunning immortal is afraid? He has already run away? Impossible, Based on my understanding of the godly cunning immortal, he is definitely not the kind of person who leaves his men and runs away. Are you trying to ambush me while I'm devouring? How could I let you succeed? You want to compete in patience with me? I've never heard of anyone. Lai Shang thought to himself and continued to wait. Time flew, and another month passed in the blink of an eye. Ning Mingji and the others looked at Lai Shang in the sky, revealing a puzzled expression. Logically speaking, he should have already devoured everyone, so why didn't he move? What was he waiting for? Could he be waiting for the young master? Thinking of this, Ning Mingji raised his eyebrows, and a sense of uneasiness was written all over his face. Master Mingwu, why hasn't he killed us yet? Now that the young master is not here, isn't it the right time to devour it? Su Yiling asked. Shu. Ning Mingji made a silent gesture. Su Yiling quickly shut up. She used her divine sense to speak to Ning Mingji. Master Mingwu, is he waiting for young master? Not bad. Ning Mingji nodded. I really hope that young master doesn't come. Master Mingwu, can't the young master deal with Lai Shang? Su Yiling asked. Not bad. Ning Mingji nodded. Not long ago, I could sense that young master's realm had just reached the 9th level of the Saint realm. Even if young master's talent is outstanding, dealing with a second-layer Saint Spirit realm cultivator is already the limit. Lai Shang has broken through to the 6th level of the Saint Spirit realm. Young master is no match for him. If he comes, there is only one possibility, and that is to die and become a part of Lai Shang's power. At that time, no one will be Lai Shang's opponent, and the whole world will be destroyed. Ning Mingji's words were like a clap of thunder in Su Yiling's mind. Her expression kept changing, and worry was written all over her face. Young master, I really hope you don't show up. Su Yiling prayed secretly. Shu, keep calm and act as if nothing happened. Don't let Lai Shang find out. Ning Mingji said. N. Su Yiling nodded heavily. After several adjustments, she quickly recovered her despair. However, what they didn't know was that the divine sense transmission between them was clearly transmitted to Lai Shang's ears. Since that's the case, I'll use you guys to lure this big fish. I'm afraid if I swallow him, I'll be able to surpass that old fart. At that time, I will be the heavenly Tao. Lai Shang thought secretly, and pride flew in his heart and kept rushing to his chest. He closed his eyes, showing a cultivation appearance, and continued to wait. Time passed like a white steed passing through a crevice, and in the blink of an eye, another few months had passed. Lai Shang opened his eyes, and his face showed an uncertain expression. Did the godly cunning immortal really run away? He's just a coward. Or was he delayed by something? No matter what, I'll wait another month. If he doesn't come in a month, it won't be too late for me to start devouring. Thinking like this, Lai Shang secretly made a decision. Soon, a month passed. Buzz, Lai Shang opened his eyes, and 2 rays of light burst out. Killing intent was written all over his face. Godly cunning immortal, it seems that you're just a coward. In that case, I'll swallow them first. After saying that, Lai Shang took a step and stepped on Ning Mingji and the others. Hee, Lai Shang grinned, revealing a cruel smile. It seems that your young master can't come to save you. He's a coward, a coward. You've become a part of this seat's power, it should be his fault. Come on, accept the baptism of supreme glory. Lai Shang said loudly, waving his hands and raising them to the sky. Buzz, streams of flames blossomed from his hands as if they were going to incinerate the entire sky. Kacha, the skin on everyone's body cracked uncontrollably. Blood flew out of the wound and whistled straight toward Lai Shang. These blood chi quickly enveloped Lai Shang. Mournful screams sounded constantly. The blood chi on everyone's body was lost, and their bodies quickly shriveled. Soon, they turned into dried corpses, fell to the ground, burst open, and turned into powder. In just an instant, all the deities exploded into powder. As for the others with high strength, They didn't last long before they were devoured clean and turned into dried corpses. Even Ning Mingji and the others were clenching their teeth at this moment. Their physical bodies were also drying up at a speed visible to the naked eye. The originally tender beauty suddenly aged. The appearance of turning into a dried corpse was indescribable in words. How miserable it was! As time passed. Boom! The sound of explosions gradually stopped. On the entire field, the only living person was Lai Shang. Endless blood qi surged up from his body. His whole aura was growing rapidly. A moment later, Kacha, the sound of the realm membrane breaking rang out. Lai Shang's realm, at this moment, reached the 7th level of the Holy Spirit realm. However, it didn't stop. The surrounding blood qi continued to whiz toward him and was swallowed into his abdomen. These blood qi quickly enhanced his strength. Half a day later, the surrounding blood qi gradually stopped and all poured into Lai Shang's body. Kacha, at this time, Lai Shang broke through another realm and reached the 8th level of the Holy Spirit realm. The surging power surged all over his body. The corners of Lai Shang's mouth rose, and his face was full of pride. He clenched his fist excitedly, aimed at the ground, and flicked his finger. Boom! The sound of explosions kept ringing out. The entire earth was lifted up layer by layer. In the end, it completely exploded into powder. With one finger, the entire battlefield was blasted into flying ashes. Lai Shang withdrew his excitement and nodded in satisfaction. Suddenly, he raised his eyebrows and looked at a man standing in front of him, his expression changing. This man was dressed in white. His calm appearance made people unable to see what he was thinking. When did he appear in front of him? He had no idea. However, Lai Shang quickly regained his calm. Godly cunning immortal, isn't it a little late for you to appear now? Chapter 6:18. Sun Hao stood in front of Lai Shang, his face unchanged. His expression was like that of a king who controlled everything. Lai Shang looked at Sun Hao with fear in his heart. Then, he sensed that his strength had increased explosively, and his confidence soared. Godly cunning immortal, isn't it a little late for you to appear now? Your good friends and subordinates have all been devoured by me. Now that I've reached the 8th layer sacred spirit realm, it's not impossible for me to become a legendary heavenly venerable after devouring you. I only ask you, how will you fight me? Lai Shang said one sentence at a time, his face full of pride. However, Sun Hao did not pay attention to him. Instead, he looked at the void and said, "If you're here, come out." As soon as these words came out, Lai Shang was shocked. There's someone else? Who could it be? He looked into the void and searched for a long time, but he couldn't find anything. Could it be that his realm is higher than mine and he can discover the existence of experts? How was this possible? Acting all mysterious, eat my fist! Lai Shang let out a roar, aimed at Sun Hao, and blasted a punch. This punch was as fast as lightning, making it impossible for anyone to react. Sun Hao showed a cautious expression. He also raised his fist and blasted it at Lai Shang. Boom! There was a loud noise and the void seemed to burn. Layers upon layers of qi waves howled in all directions. Sun Hao and Lai Shang's bodies flew out at the same time. It took a lot of time for the two to stabilize their figures. They stared at each other with cautious expressions on their faces. Hee, Lai Shang grinned and said, "You have some strength, you can actually fight on par with this seat. I'm going to start getting serious." After speaking, Lai Shang took a step with his right leg and instantly appeared in front of Sun Hao. Sun Hao was also unwilling to show weakness. He raised his fist and fought with Lai Shang. Boom! The sound of explosions kept ringing. The entire void was in the midst of shattering, mending, and shattering. However, the speed of repair was far from being able to keep up with the speed of destruction. Swish! The spatial turbulence directly enveloped the two of them. Apart from some metallic sparks, no injuries were left on the two men's bodies. The two of them fought from the sky to the ground, and from the ground to the sky. Wherever it went, there was only fragmented space and spatial turbulence. The two of them were like a destroyer, fighting fiercely. This battle lasted for half a day. At this moment, both of them stopped at the same time. They looked at each other, both wary of each other. Interesting. Lai Shang licked the blood flowing from the corner of his mouth, and showed a cruel smile. At the same time, greed flashed across his face. After I devour you, everything in this world will be mine. I can destroy however I want. Now, I'm going to get serious. After Lai Shang finished, he looked up to the sky and roared. Howl waves of flames gushed out from his mouth, enveloping the entire world. Phew, in the blink of an eye, Lai Shang turned into a flame giant. A destructive force was unleashed, enveloping the entire void. The terrifying high temperature burned Sun Hao's body, burning a hole in his clothes. In the face of such high temperatures, even a saint artifact could not withstand it. Lai Shang looked up to the sky and roared, as if he had gone mad. Wisps of pure flame energy quickly condensed in front of him. A fireball was growing. Phew, the turbulent space around him could not resist these wisps of flames, and they were melting and burning rapidly. The power to destroy everything was growing rapidly. Sun Hao looked at this scene, showing a cautious expression. Phew, without any hesitation, he took out a multicolored stone. This stone was the heaven-mending spirit stone obtained from Qin Shilu. Phew! With a move of his mind, the energy of the heaven-mending spirit stone quickly condensed in his hand. Z5-colored electric light was growing rapidly in his hand. The terrifying power was no less than the destructive fireball summoned by Lai Shang. Lai Shang roared, using all his strength to push the destructive fireball in front of him. On the other side, Sun Hao also gritted his teeth, waved his hand, and pointed at Lai Shang. Phew, the 5-color lightning ball also flew away quickly. Two monstrous energies collided quickly. Boom, the earth-shaking noise continued one after another. Boundless waves of air shook out in layers. Gotcha! The space seemed to be unable to stand this kind of energy explosion and collapsed directly. A cosmic black hole was rapidly forming. Phew, the cosmic black hole, swallowing everything, seemed to stretch endlessly far away. Howl, in the black hole, golden light burst out from time to time, so bright that people couldn't open their eyes. At the same time, a divine sound came from the black hole, incomparably sacred. It seemed to have opened up a certain world. Phew, Sun Hao and Lai Shang's bodies were blasted away at the first time. The terrifying shock wave blasted the two of them layer by layer. Their bodies kept flying in the void, and it was difficult to stop for a while. In front of the cosmic black hole, phew, a figure slowly condensed and formed. He was an old man with white hair. In front of him, there was a little girl. This old man was none other than Yujizi. In other words, he now had another identity, that is, the heavenly Tao. The corner of his mouth showed a smile of success, smiling at Lai Shang. Good disciple, you are finally useful. I will leave first, and I will leave the matter of dealing with the Tao Ancestor to you. After speaking, Yujizi jumped into the cosmic black hole with the little girl and disappeared. Lai Shang saw Yujizi's appearance in the process of flying backward, and his pupils contracted and his face changed slightly. How is this possible? I actually became his lackey again? No, an unwilling roar resounded through the void. It shook the surrounding space and kept trembling. For a long time, the two of them stabilized their figures. Sun Hao looked at the cosmic black hole and couldn't help but frown slightly. Unexpectedly, the heavenly Tao turned out to be him, and at this moment, he has already escaped. With his ability, it's not difficult to deal with me. Why run away? Sun Hao showed a puzzled look. Just now, he didn't dare to reveal his true strength. In fact, he was afraid of the heavenly Tao. Now that he had escaped, the pressure was gone, and he could concentrate on dealing with Lai Shang. Godly cunning immortal, stop! If you and I continue to fight like this, there will be no winner or loser. You and I join forces to deal with the heavenly Tao together. What do you think? Lai Shang stepped forward and said. Sun Hao smiled coldly, and his face was full of killing intent. You killed so many of my friends, and you still want to join forces? Let me ask you, are you worthy? Sun Hao stepped out and appeared directly in front of Lai Shang. His cold gaze was fixed on Lai Shang. Phew, the killing intent surged up from his body and whistled in all directions. Chapter 619. You want to kill me? My realm is far superior to yours. Even if you have a primordial holy treasure, is it enough to kill me? If you and I continue to fight, at most we will be equal. Does this make sense? He is the heavenly Tao, and everything is directed by him. If you don't kill him, what's the point of fighting me? Lai Shang roared at the top of his lungs. Sun Hao smiled coldly. Do you think I can't kill you? Just after he finished speaking, the power in Lai Shang's body gushed out uncontrollably and flew straight to Sun Hao. Finally, it fell into a black crystal stone in Sun Hao's palm. This black crystal stone was the Chaos Xian bead. The Chaos Xian bead brightened slightly, and the black gas kept whistling. Lai Shang's voice trembled, and he frantically blocked the loss of power in his body. However, it was useless. In front of the Chaos Xian bead, all his means were useless. He could only watch the power in his body flow away, and he was powerless to do anything. After a while, Lai Shang collapsed to the ground, and there was no strength in his whole body, just like a mortal. He looked at Sun Hao, his eyes full of unwillingness. Why? Could it be that all of this is your doing? What I devoured, did you deliberately let it go? Lai Shang roared loudly. Hearing this, Sun Hao's expression stagnated, and he looked at Lai Shang with a surprised face. It seems that you are not stupid. The people you devoured were all illusions I created. And those energies were provided by him. Sun Hao raised the Chaos Xian bead in his hand and said. Bang! Lai Shang staggered and fell directly to the ground. He showed a look of disbelief and kept shaking his head. Impossible, impossible. It was as if he had lost his mind. There was not the slightest bit of spirit in him. Since I didn't kill your people, please spare me. I'm willing to be a cow or a horse. I beg you. After saying that, Lai Shang knelt down directly and began to kowtow to Sun Hao. Sun Hao listened to this and smiled coldly. Don't worry, I won't kill you. Thank you, my lord. Thank you, my lord, for not killing me. Lai Shang showed a grateful expression and kept kowtowing. In the next second, his expression changed drastically. However, I will refine you into a puppet and let you follow me to conquer the world. These words were like a clap of thunder, blasting Lai Shang's soul out of his body. He kept shaking his head, as if he was about to cry. I don't want to become a puppet, I beg you. I don't want to become an idiot. I'm willing to listen to you. I'm willing to listen to everything you say. Please, don't turn me into a puppet. Lai Shang's heart sank to hell, and his whole face was extremely ugly. Even the blood-red hair on his head began to dim. I need absolutely loyal subordinates. Don't worry, I will keep your consciousness. You can hide in your body and observe everything. However, you can't control your physical body. After speaking, Sun Hao's mind moved. Above the primal chaos profound bead, waves of black energy quickly flew down and poured into Lai Shang's body. Lai Shang's body trembled violently and twitched as if he had been electrocuted. His eyes gradually turned as black as ink. The struggle also gradually stopped. His aura rapidly increased, and finally reached the 6th level of the Holy Spirit realm. Although he had not reached the 8th level of the Holy Spirit realm, his strength was not weak. Greetings, Lord. Lai Shang's eyes were cold, and he directly knelt in front of Sun Hao. Get up. Yes, Lord. Lai Shang retreated to the side, just like a guard. Seeing Lai Shang standing beside him, Sun Hao nodded slightly. This battle seemed simple, but it was not simple at all. 2 months ago, he successfully obtained the inheritance and broke through to the Holy Spirit realm. After he came here, he saw Lai Shang waiting for him. Sensing Lai Shang's strength at the 6th level of the Holy Spirit realm, he was not absolutely sure that he could save everyone, not to mention that there were still people eyeing him covetously in the dark. So, he used the stealth secret technique, arranged the illusion array, and secretly sent everyone to the soul space. At the same time, he used the primal chaos profound bead to extract the power inside and let Lai Shang devour it. Thus, he drew out all the power in his body and transferred it out. Thinking of this, Sun Hao secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Let's go, let's get out of here. Sun Hao looked at the black hole below, stepped forward, and was about to leave. Buzz, a terrifying divine sense instantly enveloped Sun Hao. At this moment, Sun Hao's hair stood on end, and his whole body trembled uncontrollably. This feeling was the same as when he first entered the demon Ancestor's realm and was scanned by that terrifying divine sense. However, this time, this divine sense only stared at him. Looking up at the sky, Sun Hao's pupils shrank and his face changed slightly. He saw, in the sky, 3 figures slowly descended from the sky. The leader was a middle-aged man. The surging aura rushed up from the middle-aged man and whistled in all directions. That feeling of irresistibility surged all over his body. Behind the man, 2 women kept struggling, trying to escape, but they couldn't do it. These 2 women were none other than Huang Yoli and Hu Laina. Their bodies moved uncontrollably with the middle-aged man, as if they were fixed. Woo! The 2 struggled wildly, and what came out of their mouths was only a whimper. Hee. The middle-aged man smiled slightly, showing an expression of controlling everything. Looking at this middle-aged man, Sun Hao frowned slightly, and a touch of fear flashed away. This man's realm could not be seen at all, nor could he see his strength. In other words, his realm was probably far beyond his own. Now that he stood up, he must have a 90% chance of success. Sun Hao narrowed his eyes and glanced over. Deng! Lai Shang stepped out and appeared behind the middle-aged man in an instant. He raised his fist and aimed at the back of the middle-aged man's head. Lai Shang's fist lit up with a dazzling red light. The terrifying power kept shaking out, stirring up layers of ripples. Seeing that this punch was about to hit the middle-aged man's head. At this time, the middle-aged man seemed to have a pair of eyes in the back of his head and instantly turned behind him. His right hand arrived first, and in an instant it hit Lai Shang's fist. Boom! There was a loud noise and the world shook. The terrifying power, all attached to Lai Shang, took his body out and fell heavily to the ground. Puff! A mouthful of black blood spurted from Lai Shang's mouth. After struggling for a long time, he couldn't stand up. One punch and Lai Shang was seriously injured. This strength, he couldn't help but make himself afraid. Who was he? Why did he appear at this time? With his strength, why did he still bind 2 people? A series of questions sounded in Sun Hao's heart. Chapter 620. Who are you? Sun Hao looked at the middle-aged man and asked. Ha! The middle-aged man laughed up to the sky and didn't calm down for a long time. Tao Ancestor, maybe you have forgotten this seat, but I remember everything clearly. The middle-aged man gritted his teeth, showing a face of anger. Wow! With a grasp of his right hand, a transparent palm quickly condensed and grabbed at Sun Hao. The terrifying power made Sun Hao's scalp explode, and he quickly retreated. However, it was too late. In just an instant, Sun Hao was pinched by the transparent palm, and he couldn't break free even after exhausting all his means. Sun Hao was brought to the middle-aged man. Tao Ancestor, you are really a noble person. I forget things. I remember it very clearly. 1,000,000 years ago, you left me and ran away alone. You don't remember, do you? I am your first general, Sky Demon. You don't remember anything at all. The middle-aged man said one sentence at a time, venting the anger in his heart. Sun Hao looked at the middle-aged man with a puzzled face. Sky Demon? The general of his previous life? Left him and ran away? This massive amount of information made Sun Hao unable to accept it for a while. Was he that kind of villain in his previous life? How could this be? You must not know that I survived. God let me live to deal with you. Say, do you have any last words? The middle-aged man looked at Sun Hao as if to find regret on his face. However, he was disappointed. There was no regret on Sun Hao's face. There was only a confused face. It seems that you really forgot. In that case, I will let you die knowing. After speaking, the middle-aged man waved his right hand. Who? In front of him, a three-dimensional picture appeared in front of Sun Hao. In the picture, a prehistoric giant beast stood in the void. These prehistoric giant beasts were all monsters of the Dark Camp. The middle-aged man also incarnated into a giant beast to block the invasion of these giant beasts. His weak figure was simply incomparable in front of these giant beasts. However, the middle-aged man did not retreat. He blocked in front of a man who looked the same as him, showing a determined look. Master, you go quickly, I will stop them. The middle-aged man roared. No, with your strength, you can't stop them at all. Leave. Sun Hao's past life stood up and shouted. My lord, you're not going to die. You must live on. As long as you're here, there's hope. Leave it to little Yao. If it's possible in the future, please resurrect us. After saying that, the heavenly demon charged forward. She didn't even turn her head. Tears kept falling from her eyes. Sun Hao's eyes were full of tears. He gritted his teeth and left quickly. There was no suspense in the following battle. The heavenly demon used its weak body to stall the prehistoric monsters time and time again. Let Sun Hao escape in his previous life. As for itself, it was beaten up badly. In the end, it was captured and sent to the Dark Camp, where it was tortured every day. However, he didn't say anything useful. Until one day, the Darkness Chief released a scene, and the heavenly demon fell into despair. In that scene, in Sun Hao's previous life, he stood with a group of his subordinates and said loudly, "The Sky Demon has rebelled. Anyone who sees it must be killed without mercy." It was this sentence that caused the heavenly demon's anger to attack his heart. He told them everything he knew. The Darkness Chief led the army and directly attacked Sun Hao's previous life's lair. In that battle, the sky was dark, and the sun and moon were dark. Finally, the dark taboo was sealed. And the heavenly demon also died in the flames of war, leaving a little remnant soul to escape the battlefield. Before he left, he saw Sun Hao's previous life, but he didn't let go of his hatred. On the contrary, he hid it in his heart. Listening to this, Sun Hao shook his head slightly. How do you know that the Darkness Chief didn't lie to you? Sun Hao said. Impossible. The middle-aged man shook his head directly, expressing his denial. Those projection techniques are real, it's impossible to fake. What about the voice? Sun Hao asked. Voice? This time, the middle-aged man's expression stagnated, and he seemed to think of something wrong. The heavenly demon saved us, but anyone who saw it must try their best to rescue and rescue. Could it be that he said this sentence? Sun Hao said. Boom, like a thunderclap, it blasted in the middle-aged man's ears. At this moment, he seemed to feel that he had been fooled. At that time, he was waiting for the Lord to come up to save him and forcibly support him to survive. There was not much reason left. Impossible! Just based on your words, how can I believe you? I can't destroy your previous life, but it's good to destroy your current life. The middle-aged man roared loudly. You made a mistake, but you still know your mistake and don't change it. It seems that you have been rebellious for a long time. Now, you are just looking for an excuse. The power that bound Sun Hao's body was broken. At this moment, Sun Hao regained his freedom. He took a step forward, stepped in front of the middle-aged man, aimed at his face, and blasted a punch over. This speed was so fast that the middle-aged man couldn't react. How can the physical body be so strong? The middle-aged man's pupils contracted, and his face changed again and again. Finally, he showed a ruthless look. So what if the physical body is strong? With your current strength, how can you exert the power of those two innate holy treasures? Break for me! The middle-aged man roared, aimed at Sun Hao, and blasted a punch with all his strength. Boom! There was a loud noise. Sun Hao's body split open, directly exploded into light and shadow, and disappeared. Seeing this scene, the middle-aged man didn't have the slightest complacency. On the contrary, his face changed dramatically. Not good, I was fooled. The words just fell. Behind him, Sun Hao's figure appeared out of thin air. He came to Hu Laina and Huang Yuli at once, stretched out his hands, and grabbed their shoulders. Above his hands, a 10-colored light lit up. The terrifying power directly cut off the power released by the middle-aged man on the two. Boom! There was an explosion. The two instantly regained their freedom. Young master! Seeing Sun Hao, the two shouted, and tears were brewing in their eyes. Senior, come into my soul space first. After speaking, Sun Hao waved his right hand and directly sent the two into the soul space. The two of them did not resist. When the middle-aged man reacted, the two had disappeared. Damn it! The middle-aged man also reacted extremely quickly, appearing in front of Sun Hao in an instant, raised his fist, and punched. Boom! With an explosion, Sun Hao's body flew out upside down and fell heavily to the ground. Just in time, he rolled in front of Lai Shang. With a wave of his right hand, Lai Shang's body disappeared and appeared in the soul space. From this moment on, only Sun Hao was standing in front of the middle-aged man. Everyone else had already appeared in the soul space.